But my beats, they are hard.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to a live edition, Sunday night edition, doing it the way we do right here on the Black College Sports Network. I'm Brian Fulford, and as you can see, I'm joined by my man Jamie Walker this evening, filling in for AD Drew, who is on the road. AD will be joining us probably a little bit later in the show. Jamie, how you doing, man?
I am great, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. It's despite my emotions after watching that drunk Cleveland Browns Indianapolis Colts game, and I'm talking drunk on points and ridiculousness by Myles Garrett, who is just let's go ahead and give him the defensive MVP now. But that game was just drunk. End of the game, bad officiating. Other than all that, man, I'm doing well. I'm doing well, as well as can be. It's homecoming week, baby. Homecoming week. Let's go.
All right, we're gonna see if y'all brag different.
I feel like we've been on homecoming all season, really, ever since the Jackson State game. That's just where we've been. So, but anyway, homecoming weekend, another big weekend around the HBCU diaspora. 15 schools had their homecomings, and Jamie, once again, about a third of them got ruined.
Listen, you need to quit signing up these teams for homecoming. They don't appreciate getting the invite and knowing it's homecoming and thinking, traditionally, you invite somebody you think you can beat, even though it doesn't end up being that way. You're just playing the opponent that's kind of coming up on your schedule. You're picking a good date for your homecoming. That's kind of how it is. But look, these people not taking this anymore about being scheduled for homecoming. They're taking it personal, taking it real personal.
Real personal. I mean, it's like last week, I think, was the week where it was personal. This week it felt like you kind of saw who was playing and were like, yeah, I don't think you're going to win your homecoming. There was about four of the five that lost. You really kind of looked at them and were like, yeah, I don't think y'all are winning. I think Drew and I predicted 5, and it ended up being 5 of the 15. But there were also, I think I noted there were, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 games that were within a touchdown. So it's, the days of blowing people out on homecoming, it's too tough these days, man. I mean, the little teams, the little engines that could, they are, and they will, and they are. You know what I'm saying? They beating people these days.
They're taking it serious, sir. But it just makes you appreciate the parity that's going on throughout these conferences in general. Outside the independents, you're talking about just HBCU conferences in general. There's parity throughout all of the just all of the teams. I think anyway. I was thinking about that, especially when it comes to the D2s, the SIAC in general. But when you're talking about, just all the elements that have been included in what college football is right now, what college athletics is in general, being able to, the transfer portal, just NIL, You're seeing some significant differences. You're seeing things that you've never seen before in being able to have your team improve in an instant. So I think that's even spilling into homecoming considerations. So hey, you never know. Hey, if you love it, I like it.
Well, let me ask this question because this has kind of been on my mind. When your team loses, and I don't know if it's just a game or let's just say when your season comes to an end, um, or even homecoming, from a coverage perspective, what do you feel like the coverage from your school and team should be? Because I feel like some schools, they just kind of put their head in the sand and were like, yeah, we just gonna act like that didn't happen. We're not gonna post anything. We're not gonna report. We're gonna report as minimal as possible. And then there's other schools that, hey, look, if we post all this stuff on the wins, we're gonna post it on the losses as well. Um, and as somebody who's in sort of a sports information role at my high school, for example, our volleyball team ended their season. And, it was like, oh, who posted that? Who posted that photo? I'm like, well, I couldn't find a photo of anybody crying. So I had to try to put some obscure photo that looked a little joyous or thankful. It wasn't too ridiculous, I don't think, but it just said final score. And then in the caption, you write some nice stuff. But what are your thoughts on just how sports departments, athletic departments, how for them to handle losses?
I think you should cover it like normal, like any other game. And homecoming, it's definitely based on whether or not you win or lose. But cover it like any other game. If you're a winner, the homecoming can be the catalyst in which you spin it. If you lose, it's just like any other game. I don't think necessarily you should harp on the fact that it's homecoming too much, but it kind of is what it is. It could be the footnote to everything, but it just depends on what kind of writer you are at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Adrian, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about. What school? I just gave you a personal story about my school. I don't know what school you think I'm talking about. I'm trying to stay out of. I'm trying to stay out of their way, man.
Adrian, the petty flows through you like water, sir.
I get caught up and tagged in conversations that my Twitter handle is just ridiculous because I appreciate it. Make sure you follow at DRB365. I'll take it, but man, boy, I get roped into stuff that is just like, man. M4 74. Now, if you're talking a lot of trash and overconfident, you definitely. Well, wait a minute, I missed the. Oh, there it is. Depends on if it's a blowout or not. Close game, posted evenly, blowout, a quick blip. I agree with that. Okay. Real quick, let's say hello to the people as they've come in and joined us, watching us on Facebook and on YouTube, of course. We thank you. Please make sure you're following the Black College Sports Network at MyBCSN1, the number one. If you're watching us on YouTube, be a subscriber on our Jericho Broadcast Network's page. Hopefully, if you are, you got a chance to watch the Miles and Allen game last night. What a game that was. And then, of course, you also got a chance to watch Edward Waters come from behind again to beat Albany State. We'll talk about that in a second. And I think you can also pick up the audio broadcast of the Tuskegee-Savannah State game, which was last week as well. Say hello, quick shout to Coach Farasi. Coach Farasi will be joining us at the top of hour 2. He's got a few games under his belt that he was watching, so we always look forward to talking to Coach and breaking down some just coaching things, some analysis on different topics like that. Jeff Roberts coming in. Quick shout out there, Jamie.
Aggie pride, baby. Aggie pride.
Hey, look, Jamie. While attendance is on everyone's mind these days, I've seen. Look, okay, so I see an article and I hate to do this to y'all, but I saw an article that was posted that talked about FCS attendance above capacity, things of that nature. And then I saw, the school from Jackson, some folks, somebody posted that at like 9 straight games that they have been to, that they've been at capacity, like they are the draw, so I hate, golf clap.
Absolutely, get them props. Yes,
Exactly. I give y'all golf clap for that. But then game y'all played number 7, Delaware. No, who was it who played? Who did y'all play this past Saturday?
we played Richmond.
Richmond. It was the other school, the school you played this week that played number 17. So you played Richmond at home. And of course, record-setting performance was done in a particular situation. But that scene of the kickoff, if you know what I'm talking about on the video, and you go to the scene and then you just look, and the first thing I noticed, I'm like, where's everyone at? I don't know what time that score was. I don't know what time of the game that score was. But, man, and the bad part is it shows the visitor side, right? And I'm sure those who were in attendance for A&T were there on the home side. But, man, it was staying on the visitor side. Did you get a chance to watch that contest?
Some of it, highlights primarily. And it wasn't necessarily a good look aesthetically. What wasn't a good look at all. But it's like I've discussed before when it comes to the attendance. It's something we have to do to get better. You're gonna have certain games that are attended better than others. Homecoming clearly. Games against other HBCUs are going to be attended better. Particular HBCUs. I think people lose sight of that a great deal. We play Winston, we play South Carolina State, play, of course, Central, well-attended games. Definitely. You play Elon, you play Campbell, well-attended games from the non-HBCU realm as well if it's at home. Others, not going to be as much. And this is the litmus test in which you're going to see in the next few years to whether at least a decent, and so far so good, even transitioning from the Big South to the CAA, hasn't really impacted attendance overall. But yeah, there are some pictures and stuff you see that's not necessarily the finest look. So I agree. Get out there to the games. Go support.
And look, I'll be fair and keep it honest. I looked at some of the video and from Houston. FAMU traveled to Houston. First time FAMU's been in Texas since they won a national championship in '78. First time they played an HBCU since 1950 something. And Jamie, there was only 44% capacity in that stadium, a stadium that only seats 22. This weekend, there's going to be an overabundance of people in Tallahassee, with overpriced hotel rooms and everything else that's going to be happening. But in Houston, where FAMU hasn't been in decades, less than 10,000 people, according to the numbers that I saw, at Shell Energy Stadium, which seats 22. That was disappointing to me. I'll be honest. I know Dr. Cavill, I didn't get a chance to talk to him and Charles. They were at that game, but I was really disappointed to see that view. And look, I could jokingly say, oh, the 8,900, how many were FAMU? Probably 8,000. I don't know, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just saying in general, though. I know Houston and Texas were playing at the same time. Maybe that's where everyone was. But, man, just less than 10,000 people attended?
You know what, B? Because the attendance thing has been, kind of, we've been bantering about it, just talking about it in general. You see it on Twitter. You see it in other spaces about who's going to be attending this, attending that. I think you're seeing the same trickle-down effect that you see in the pro game as well. People are staying home. As much as we are talking about the inner game experience, and Dr. Cavill has talked about this so much. Even when it talked about, Tennessee State last week, and I was on his show, I think on last Tuesday. Listen, maybe your fans aren't football people. And there's some things that people are going to have to consider when it comes to the stadium experience to both draw and keep people in. I think that's everybody's school. Now, Jackson State has always been the exception. I won't say always, but, in the last, in recent history, and I'm not even talking about, there was a Anscape piece by a person that said all this started with Dion. That's complete garbage.
Right.
First and foremost.
Those who know, we know.
Those who know, know.
Yeah.
Jackson State has always been up there when it comes to attendance, and they support their school. And not saying that others don't support their school based on attendance alone. But what I'm saying is there are some schools that have always done it. But we're in some different times where people have choices. And as much as we talk about the media space, where you have all these varieties of media or being able to go watch games, there are some people are choosing not to go to the stadiums. So you have to do something different now to capture these people and keep them in the stadiums. I can speak here in the city of Atlanta when it comes to the Falcons, the Braves, the Hawks. Listen, when it comes to what is it, State Farm Arena now, and that's where the Hawks play.
That's where the Hawks play. Okay.
They have to do stuff. It's got to be an experience, and they know that to capture people and bring them in there. And so I think it's a trickle-down effect everywhere. I fully think people should support their teams regardless of what they're doing. If you're able to go to a game in your town, I hate it. When A&T played Kennesaw State, I think a couple of years ago, last year, I couldn't get in there, but that was a hot ticket to capacity. The fan base and alumni turned out for that. And Kennesaw State really didn't have, too much of a following where people just maxed out their stadium. I think they seated 9,500. So it was a great experience bringing the band and everything for the school. But I think there's something more to just people saying you don't support your school. I think the choice in the matter of where you can see your games now, that your games are more, prevalent on whatever media it is or medium to look at it. I think there's several elements when it comes to why people aren't attending games, home or away.
Great point. And I saw this question by M. Ford, 1974. Why do we always expect P5 attendance? And maybe there's some, maybe that's what I'm doing. But Jamie, I feel like this. I feel like maybe I'm a little clouded because I remember attendance numbers in, I hate to say this, the 90s, the 2000s even. And it's like, okay, I know we didn't have the internet. Well, we did, but you know what I'm saying? We didn't have social media. We didn't have as many outlets. Yes, cable was still around. But like you were just saying, there weren't as many options. I just remember when you saw the games on television, on the one network we saw it on, they looked packed. And so I guess I grew up with that expectation. And yes, when you watch the P5s on TV, you see the large crowds. And I guess the percent capacity is maybe what I wish was better. And maybe that deserves a deeper dive than this quick little blurb that I threw out against the wall. And yes, it does require more work, probably, and maybe we don't have the staffs to do the grassroots marketing, to do the promotions, and some events are just going to be, like homecomings, but even not everybody's homecoming is at 90 something capacity. You know what I'm saying?
I saw some of that, definitely.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of that when you looked at the views, as far as, oh wow, not even homecoming, which is interesting, because as part of GHO, greatest homecoming on earth, as we have trademarked, and which I firmly believe it is. However, we know the game's gonna be packed. It was sold out a couple of weeks after all the tickets. That's gonna be sold out. It's a given. Everybody doesn't have that luxury, and I think that not enough is discussed about the game day experience. I was listening to a couple of podcasts because, like I said, I listen to everybody's stuff, even if I don't comment on it a whole lot. I chime in on people's experiences throughout their teams just to listen to see what their perspective is, because perspective is good. There are some teams that want to do it a little different. There are some teams that are worried about what the fan base will be going forward. And quite frankly, they are concerned or want to see their game day experience change in certain ways. As the demographics are starting to change, age, things of that nature, you can't do the same thing you used to do and just depend on nostalgia to kind of galvanize the troops or galvanize the fan bases to come to games. So yeah, and Elwood, that's an excellent point. They aren't. Maybe they aren't. Maybe it is about the experience. And I think, not to go on this too long, but it's a great discussion. I heard Ken Rashad, talk about Eddie George's comments last week and him addressing the difference in culture. I think the P5, whoever said that earlier about the P5 or comparing the P5s, I think that's the perspective that Eddie George went on. And so when you're talking about comparing Ohio State, that's going to be, I don't think it's hard to say this without saying or kind of hinting that we aren't a rabid fan base or the HBCUs aren't. But I think when you're comparing those 100,000 people that'll be in that stadium every week, there's a home game in Columbus, to us, when you're comparing P5s to FCS, period, I think that's where you're going wrong. And I think, without saying it, I think the experiences that go along with the bands, the people you see, just everything that encompasses HBCU culture and not consider it in what we do, I think you're just being disingenuous if you don't have those considerations within your fan bases. Now, I'm a football head. I love football. I'm going to stay for the game because I'm going to analyze the game. That's just me. But I fully understand that all people don't look at ball the way I do, and it's the experiences that go along. So,
Stephen Gaither, good to have you in there. Great comment here about tailgates. I've enjoyed seeing the drone flyover videos of tailgates like Alabama A&M.
Benedict shot the other day.
The Benedict shot was outrageous. I was like, yo, I've been to a handful of Benedict games. I wish I saw that kind of crowd for other games, especially with what they've been doing. And I wonder, at those tailgates, are people listening to the game? Are people listening? Is there a radio broadcast feed that's going out? Are people listening, or are you kind of just there and you're listening to the PA guy and you're kind of listening for the roar of the crowd? Or am I old school in that? Or am I too old school in that? I don't know. That's but yeah, I mean, there's got to be a way to sort of engage and get the crowd that's on the outside. Stephen Gaither also talked about people need to get a ticket into the tailgate area. So I don't know these, like that lot that you saw for Benedict or what you saw for Alabama A&M. Hey, look, maybe they're charging to get into those spaces. And if they are, hey, good for you. You're also creating a revenue stream for that as well,
I can't say for sure, but I believe I just the way it's been, because we called games from there before.
Right.
I firmly believe they are charging on that other side of the, because I know they do on closer to the press box side. So I firmly believe they are definitely creating that revenue stream, and it would be good because there are a lot of people out there. But you're right, on a regular basis, Benedict and it's a great stadium. It is a superb stadium, especially when you're talking about in the realm of Division IIs. But yeah, yeah, if you can get crowds like that every day and that kind of experience, that would definitely change things.
All right. We're going to open the show, moving off of attendance matters. And we got to talk about, there's a couple of interesting upsets or stories. But I got to say, Jamie, the biggest upset has got to be a 1-5 Elizabeth City State going on the road and knocking out the BCSN number two team in many people's, whether it be non-Division I or mid-major poll, Virginia State, who I think we were all expecting and just trending towards that matchup at the end of the season against Virginia Union. And I feel like the CIA North has done it to us again, Jamie. The second year in a row that just weeks before the big showdown was supposed to happen, somebody stumbled. And this time it's Virginia State who stumbled on the road against Elizabeth City State. The Vikings, just in case you guys forgotten, their mascot name, it is the Vikings, had a 10-7 halftime lead, had as big as 17-7 lead going into the fourth quarter. And I was kind of looking at the play-by-play summary, Jamie, just to kind of glance back and say, how in the world did this game, did you lose this ball game? And kind of going back and seeing Virginia State, going back in the fourth quarter, early on in the fourth quarter, with about 11:50 to play. Virginia State scored a touchdown. Kicked a field goal to make it 17-10. A 19-yard field goal to make it 19-10. And they were all the way down to the ECSU 2-yard line. So credit to the Vikings defense for holding them to a field goal. 4th and 2, Virginia State went for the field goal. On the ensuing drive, Elizabeth City State came down, got to the Virginia State 19-yard line with 6:59, missed a 36-yard field goal, which essentially would have put them up 2 scores again. Coming right back, Virginia State got all the way down to the Elizabeth City State 15-yard line on a 4th and 15, unable to complete the play. So you had a turnover on downs, which, with 2:37 left, what are you thinking? Virginia, Elizabeth City State is thinking, okay, hey, we're here. We're at that point. we might be able to salt this game away. Fortunately, Virginia State still had timeouts in their pocket, so they used all 3 of them, forcing a punt by Elizabeth City State. Returned 16 yards by Roy Jackson III. And then Virginia State proceeded to starting all the way from the ECSU 25-yard line. So, 40-yard punt from the 1. I should have prefaced that by saying ECSU was back on their 1-yard line, punting. And then Virginia State ended up scoring a touchdown with 1:20 to go. The extra point attempt by Matthew Ward is missed. That's a tough one because he's kicking from the 3. So essentially you're talking, I don't know, what is that, a 10-yard, 19-yard, 20-yard field goal attempt?
Mm-hmm.
Extra point is missed. Elizabeth City State ends up being able to kneel down because that's the ball game. Obviously they recovered the onside kick, and then that's the ball game. What's your thoughts here? What's left for Virginia State, though, Jamie, as you look down the road for Virginia State? Is they got a tough one coming up against Lincoln, PA, and then, of course, that game for Virginia Union. Do you sour any on this? Is your thoughts on this matchup soured any, I guess is a better way of saying it?
No. I think the expectations of Virginia State started when they beat Norfolk State. And so going into that game is
all the way at the beginning of the season, right?
Right. And it's crazy as that game ended too. They just have been doing what they're supposed to in the CIAA. And I think they have been winning up until that point. But I think more so than anything, give kudos to Coach Hilliard and that squad who's been, and he commented this on Twitter, knocking at the door for quite some time. If you look at that program in general, starting from and I'm academics and athletics, they've gone through some changes and improvements to get that program back on some good footing, and not just football, but throughout the entire athletic program. And so when you're looking at the way that Elizabeth City has just been knocking at the door in general, it's not surprising because they were going to get somebody like another school we're going to talk about later. But it's just a matter of this is not your old Vikings who is the doormat of the CIAA. They are playing really good ball. Maybe not to the degree, and the record doesn't show the work that they're putting in, but they play really sound fundamental football. And it was, a matter of, some breaks here and there when it comes to Virginia State, of course. But if you can't score, you always leave another opportunity for a team to win. So I think Elizabeth City State just kept focused and did what they needed to do to pull out that game.
Yeah. So again, Virginia State drops first loss of the game. That leaves us with just one unbeaten team, Jamie, just one. And it might be the same one that we had last year, right? The last unbeaten standing last year was Benedict. And once again, it's Benedict. And they took care of business on homecoming, 63-14 over Kentucky State. Most points they have scored since, I think the stat was in the 60s when they put 65 on somebody. But man, Benedict just continues doing what they do.
They're juggernaut, man. Top to bottom and sideways. I love the way that squad, and just kudos to head coach Chinnisberry. They can do whatever they need to. And it was a worry about this team in the beginning with them losing quarterback Eric Phoenix, wanting, to go somewhere else.
And that was it. That was it.
Yeah.
I think that was the only worry anybody had, right? And it's crazy to think they've actually gotten better quarterback play this year.
I believe so too.
With all respect to Phoenix, who was a pretty good QB.
Absolutely. I think they're balanced. I think they already had, and this goes back to media day. Coach Berry talked about there were two things. He said, we're going to have a quality signal caller that I can't name yet. And he said the offensive line was the other factor. And even now, he said that's still, if you want to critique them in any way, that's still the work in progress. But they're getting better each week. I think when you look at their backfield, when it comes to the likes of DeAndre Duhart, Jaden Taylor has come from a wide receiver position into the backfield. And let's not forget, he's been injured all, due to a hamstring. But Noah Zaire Scotland, is the other back leading rusher from last year. So you're talking about a team that can run the football. But throw in quarterback Aeneas Dennis, who can absolutely spin the football and leads this offense. What they decided to do, and I saw this just in comparison to their offense last year, they play with tempo. They go a lot faster than they used to. And Aeneas Dennis is the perfect person to lead this offense and has been doing well so far. Now, I think the only knock you can really give their offense is sometimes they start off slow. If you look at the Edward Waters game, if you look at a couple of other games, the Morehouse game, I called that game. They started off slow. But I think once it gets cooking, it's just fine. And the defense, when you're talking about a defense that can rotate 8 defensive linemen, led by Luba Danellis, you're talking about a squad that is hard to beat because they constantly bring fresh bodies in. Now, I'm going to tell you, I know we got a lot of fans from everywhere, but I would love to see that Benedict Miles matchup again.
Really?
Would love to.
But you know what? You know what's interesting about that, Jamie? That game was controlled by Benedict. And this don't sound cliche. It was controlled by Benedict until it wasn't. Meaning there was like this little sliver in time where Benedict got loose. You know, it's almost like you lost the screw in a chair, and your sturdy chair, and then all of a sudden the chair was kind of wobbly, and it was like, this chair is gonna fall. But then all of a sudden, here it is. Here's the screw. We just put the screw right back in there, and boom, we're good. We're back to, you score a touchdown on a great drive to end the ball game, and that game is over. So I mean, I respect Miles, but do you really think Miles can hang with Benedict for 4 quarters? Not a quarter and a half, but for a full 4.
The catalyst to that game was changing quarterbacks. I think the kid, what is his name? Cameron Ivory came into the ball game and gave Miles a spark, because Benedict was controlling that game up until the second half, literally the third quarter. Miles came out and I talked to a coach for Miles, and talked about them just needing a quarterback going from last year to this year, where now they have 2 signal callers in Klein, Peter, and Ivy. But when you're talking about Benedict, yeah, it was seemingly like they flipped the switch and just turned it all back on in that fourth quarter. Because even though they were down, it was like, okay, no panic at all. We've done this before. Let's just go down here and score, and we'll stop them on defense to win the game. And that's how it ended up happening.
And just to kind of respond to Edwards, who was it? Clarence Kenny's comments about Benedict in the playoffs. I think everybody has to go through, when you've never been somewhere before, it takes a minute to realize how much more work has to be done. Benedict went into the playoffs last year against a team that had been to the playoffs. I mean, that coach had been there several years. That team had been there. That team was used to being in the playoffs. There was a record and history over the last 4 or 5 seasons of going to the playoffs. Benedict just kind of showed up. I hate to say it, showed up out of nowhere. Number 1 seed, best defense. I mean, it was magic in a bottle until you got to the playoffs. This year's Benedict team will not repeat what happened last year, because now they know they've gone. And it might be why you see this team performing at the level that they are performing at, right? Because they've been through that embarrassing loss and said, yo, we got to turn it up to another level if we really want to go far in November.
It is interesting because we called that game last year.
Yep.
And we kind of saw what happened. And in my opinion, it goes down, and I've heard other people comment, Kendrick Hooks in particular, the trench play. The difference that you see typically in HBCUs versus out-of-conference competition is the trench play. And that's what happened in that game. The fact that they could not get stops because you had a powerful offensive line in Wingate, and that happened to both schools. I think they beat Union to get to that second round game. And so the trench play. And even though it's a factor of one of the factors or one of the considerations that Coach Barry wanted to improve upon, yes, I firmly believe that the experiences of being in the playoffs will help going forward. Now, they got some work to do going forward, but I think they have a balanced enough offense, because if you look at the players on the outside as well, they're able to throw the football. But I think that experience will help. But if they can block and they can tackle, they'll have a great chance going forward playing outside competition.
Good stuff. Let's do this. Let's take a short break, because we got to talk about another pair of cats the SIC is just so interesting. I mean, I love everything that is happening in the SIC. Um, and what these cats in Jacksonville are doing is fun. It's unreal. It's unexpected, but it's reality. I mean, they are legit. They are legitimate and a fun team to watch, and they will ruin your homecoming if you let them. We've already seen it happen, and so Allen, you're on upset alert because these cats don't play. So we're gonna talk about them, and then the Battle of the Dragons. We're gonna talk about the little dragons that flew into Tennessee and burned the house down in Jackson, Tennessee. We're going to talk about that and more. AD Drew's going to join us too coming up in the next segment. We're going to take a quick, short little timeout. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap right here on the Black College Sports Network.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never, ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan and Jamie Walker here. Want to quickly remind you guys watching us to make sure to hit that thumbs up button, however you're watching us, especially on YouTube or on Facebook. Let me bring in the regular, normal co-host of this show, AD Drew. AD on assignment, on the move. So we bring him in. AD, are you there? AD, you're on mute. Hopefully AD can hear us. I know he is on the road. AD, there you go. We got you. We don't hear you, AD. So I don't know. 3, 2, 1. AD, you there? All right, so we'll bring AD in. Maybe he's got to log back in and
AD with that suspect internet.
Well, he's traveling, so to be honest, at this point, it could be any number of issues that might be affecting him. But as I mentioned, coming out of the break, look, Jamie, we have I'm going back to I'm not going to say we because I'm not going to put you in this. I have been a little jokish with the whole Virginia University Lynchburg thing, because they have look, they're not NAIA, they're not Division II. They may be working up to that. I don't know what to qualify them as. but they have built themselves into a program that I don't think you can no longer joke and laugh about. Let's see if we got Drew now. Drew, do we have you now?
Mic check 1 2. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay.
There we go, Drew. All right.
What's going on today, brother?
We're good, man. How you feeling?
Not much.
Oh, I'm feeling fine, man. Just doing good.
Good deal. So what I was just telling Jamie, we can no longer joke about Virginia Lynchburg anymore. They have won 2 games in a row, and they have ruined somebody's homecoming, and they're on watch in terms of who they're playing coming forward. I think everybody that has them, and there's a couple of significant schools that have them on the schedule upcoming, you got to start paying attention to Virginia Lynchburg. I don't know what has changed, but Jamie, it's funny. I was looking at their schedule thus far, right, going into this season, and here's a team that has been allowing almost 40 points a game and scoring 1.5 a game. I said that. I said it. That's what the stats show. They've been shut out 2 times. They've been held to field goals 2 other games. They scored 10 against Delaware State and 17 against Presbyterian. And then 2 weeks ago, or I guess I should say last weekend, they put 42 points up, beating Fort Lauderdale, which is, I believe, an NAIA school. And then they went to Lane and beat Lane 40, I think it was, what was the final score? 48-45. So yeah, Drew, I don't think we can no longer joke about Virginia Lynchburg, because up on their schedule they got Fort Valley State and Edward Waters and then Kennesaw State after that. But I don't think anybody's gonna be joking about Virginia Lynchburg anymore.
Can you imagine when them and Edward Waters get together? Because Virginia Lynchburg looks like they've turned into a high-powered offense, and with what Edward Waters does on offense, man, I would love to be in Duval on that particular game.
Yeah, I think for Edward Waters, their next couple of games are going to be just high-scoring affairs, just because of who's coming up on the schedule. For them.
Defense optional.
Look, it's not even about the defense can't stop anybody. It's just that the defense is that good, or the offense is that good. You know, and I don't know. I don't know if the defense is optional, but you know, let's just say Virginia Lynchburg, just to figure out where this team is coming from. I'm more interested in like what's the future for that team. But anyway, sad times if you're Lane though.
Look,
and one correction, Brian. Fort Lauderdale is also a NCCAA school. They haven't been declared NAIA yet, but rumor is they will be coming to NAIA and possibly joining the Sun Conference in the near future.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you for that clarification. What were you saying, Jamie?
Look, I said at the beginning of the year, they were going to get somebody. They have some pieces and can score. Kind of like what AD said. I actually thought it would be Dale State because I didn't know what Dale State would be going forward as far as them just being able to score as well. I knew, you know, CJ Brooks, quarterback for Virginia Lynchburg, is a gamer. Got hurt at the end of last year, so they kind of tailed off. But they were able to score the football. Almost beat Presbyterian last year. So it wasn't a team that was just completely void of talent. Even though, you know, they seem to come up on everybody's homecoming schedule. And, you know, if they want to get a game, you know, hey, invite Virginia Lynchburg. It's kind of like Lincoln, California. Shows up on everybody's schedule. But it was going to be someone. And the fact that they scored with Lane the way they are. And Lane is in a down year. They lost a lot of players. But the fact that they're able to score like they are, or score with that team, was amazing to me. So that didn't come up on my bingo card, but they were going to get somebody. Now, I think their winning is through for the year. With the schedule you just read out, I think that's it for the year. But you better take them seriously because they can score the football.
Yeah, definitely. So moving over from the story of Virginia Union to the other story that we kind of teased, Edward Waters hosting Albany State. And of course, this is just 1 week after the Hail Mary. Sorry, Drew, hate to keep bringing that up. Hail Mary against Tuskegee. They return home, and they're taking on Albany State. And the first quarter, Albany State jumped all over Edward Waters, leading 17-7 in the first quarter, even growing the lead to 24-7 with 9:46 remaining in the second quarter. And I'll be honest, Jamie, at that point in the game, I still didn't think that game was like out of control. I didn't look at that game and say, "Uh-oh, Edward Waters is on the verge of getting blown out." And maybe that's because I didn't think that lead was all a product of Albany State. Maybe I didn't think Albany State had that kind of offense to really blow anybody out or add on to that 24 points, significantly. But what I do know is that Edward Waters might just have the SIC Offensive Player of the Year because Jaron Russell put on a performance in the second half and especially in the fourth quarter that any SIC voter better be paying attention to, and they should go back and watch that. Trailing 27-7 in the fourth quarter. And actually, let me go back because Edward Waters had 3 significant drives in the second half. Again, trailing 24-14 at half. Edward Waters went on, basically started in the third quarter with a ball at not the 1 yard line, Jamie, the half-yard line. Basically on a punt that was down inside of the 1, between the 1 and the goal line, right? In the third quarter, EWU, Edward Waters, drives from the the half-yard mark. The other length of the field, they ended up getting a field goal, a 27-yard field goal attempt. But basically, they drove 92 yards in 13 plays. Really probably should have came out with a touchdown because the ball got all the way down to the 8-yard line inside the goal. Wasn't able to punch it in, but 24-17 at that point. And I'm thinking, okay, that was what I needed to see. And there were a couple outstanding throws by Russell. Of course, he's got 2 of the top receivers in the league, in the SIC, in Johnny Jones and the other young man, Rembert. Yeah. So they both made big plays, big time plays. And so going into the fourth quarter, scores 24-17. Albany State gets held to a field goal, 27-17. And that's when, again, with the ball from their 15-yard line, Edward Waters goes 11 plays, 85 yards, in 5 minutes and 19 seconds following that field goal to cut the deficit to 3 on a Deshaun Hugie 4-yard run. Edward Waters' defense gets another stop. And from the, from the 15, or really from the 16-yard line, with about 2:20 to play, they go on an 11-play drive, which is capped off by a series of, they're inside the goal line, so inside of the 5, but it ends up being a 1-yard touchdown pass from Russell to Devin Thompson. And all the while, Jamie, I'm sitting there watching, or, listening to Joshua Jackson did another great job calling this game. But I'm thinking, okay, Edward Waters is going to punch this ball in. Just run Hugie up the middle. Nope. There's a pass play. There's like 2 consecutive pass plays. I'm just thinking, Okay, I mean, coach, you know, you're gonna pass to get in there. Nobody's gonna run, but hey, they stayed true to who they are, and they ended up scoring a touchdown to end up taking that 31-27 lead, Jamie. And I don't think Albany State, they aren't officially out of the hunt, but I think that was an elimination game for Albany State. I think Albany State could cause some trouble for some people, but I don't know how Albany State can really get back in this thing. There's a slim chance, there is, yes, but I think what it did though, it put Edward Waters in a position that if some crazy things happen in these last couple of weeks of the SIC, they can be a team that you got to pay attention to and say, you know, hey, now they've won 5 games in a row. Remember, this is a team that started 0-3, losses to Benedict 34-0. Lost the game by 3 to Fort Valley State. And then all of a sudden they figured it out. I think they figured it out at that Fort Valley State game and just kind of came up short, ran out of time. And then they won 5 games in a row, knocking off not only Tuskegee and Albany State. What's your thoughts there on Edward Waters and just the SIAC race in general, Jamie?
Man, you're talking about teams. You're talking about a lot of good teams bunched together. Because I think Fort Valley is kind of in the same boat as Albany State to a degree, and they're coming up as far as playing. So I'll be curious to see what happens with that. But Edward Waters, man, reminds me, and you're a basketball man, so you know this. When a team goes on a run, it just helps out everything else. Like if you're going on an offensive run, your defense all of a sudden gets better. And that's what seemingly occurs when it comes to this squad. When Jaron Russell is able to get on the perimeter and they're able to throw the ball wherever they want to, it's a beautiful thing. And Russell never panics.
Nope.
Like that is the catalyst to all of this. You mean to tell me you're down 27-7 and you don't think that game is over? It just speaks to what this offense is able to do and what the defense thrives on once this offense scores. It's kind of like, you know, I'll say it again, cool hand Luke when it comes to Jaron Russell. And again, going into the season, I thought Hughie would be the catalyst to what they do offensively. And they still do run the football. But no one could have predicted what Jaron Russell would do in leading this offense. You're talking about Toriano Morgan, who, and by the way, if Steven's still on here, great interview with him, by the way, the other day. But who, you know what I'm saying, who's led some great offenses throughout his own career. Just finally getting the signal caller to lead this offense to where it needed to be. They were one of those teams that would sneak up on people in the past, especially when he got the job initially. They were in some close games. You know, they lost it at the end. I think it took the experience of this squad and just the things they went through before. I think that Fort Valley game, you made an excellent point in that. They just ran out of time. So I think they finally had to learn to win, and I think that's what you're seeing right now.
Drew, do you want to add anything there about this Edward Waters team?
Let's step back to 2022. We remember Edward Waters lost 3 games by less than a touchdown in 2022, and a lot of those games they had the ball with an opportunity to tie or take the lead coming down the stretch. And kind of echoing on what Jamie said, once they got into that Fort Valley game and lost again the same way that they were losing games last year, the light bulb clicked for somebody down there in Jacksonville, Florida. Like, all right, if we do this, we're going to win these games. And I don't know if Prez, a.k.a. Superfan, known as A. Zachary Faison, has stock in CVS or Walmart or Walgreens, but someone told me that there is a sale on high blood pressure medicine going on for Edward Waters fans in Duval County, because the way that they let teams get the lead and come back has got to be one of the most stressful things that can happen to you as an Edward Waters Tigers fan. And my last point on this, next week's game is going to be interesting because you've got two teams in Allen and Edward Waters who like to let other teams get huge leads and then try to walk them down at the end. It's going to be a fun fourth quarter at the A&B Classic in Columbia, South Carolina next week, man. Just based on that. I said one last thing, but I lied. I do got one more last thing. We came up with the phrase BIACish to describe the crazy crap that happens in the BIAC. Some people call it the SIAC, some people call it the SEAC. But what's happening with all these teams, one loss, two loss, all with a shot to win, is SEAC-aiotic or SIAC-aiotic, as in SIAC and chaotic. All going on at the same time. Chaotic in the SIAC.
I'm telling you, man, the best decision that was made, I'm telling you, and it's turning up tops this year. Commissioner Holloman taking away the division formats,
yes,
is coming up roses right now.
Exactly.
Coming up roses.
The commissioner's decision of the year goes to him for that. Because I can't even imagine how. Well, we don't even have to. We may not be talking about a lot of teams. I don't know. It just with the convoluted. Well, we still got to talk about tie-breaking scenarios and all that stuff. But let me get to a couple points here.
Hold up. Hey, Brian. Under the old format, Benedict would have the East sold up already, and it would be coming down once again to Tuskegee and Biles.
Yep.
On the West. Now you still got the whole East side still in play with Edward Waters, Albany State with a outside chance of getting in, and Fort Valley still with the chance to get to the championship game. It's exciting and it's fun to be a fan of SIAC football right now under this new format.
A couple things I gotta say and mention here regarding Edward Waters. First off, and I'll be admittedly one of those people who knew very little about Edward Waters prior to 2018. That university has done so much and helped. Not only have I feel like we have watched them grow and move through these spaces, but for the Black College Sports Network, they have been a supporter of ours in so many ways and allowed us to do so many things which other entities have seen, from being able to cover games, conference, tournaments, regardless of what other entities are doing. Edward Waters has been a big supporter of ours. So I have a special warm feeling in my heart for Edward Waters University. But let me tell you, Jamie, what was the interesting things about last night. First off, Jyron Russell. Let me start with him. He became the all-time single season passing leader at Edward Waters University. Joshua Jackson pointed this out. He now has 2,220 yards, which is the new single season record. He is sixth in the nation, Division II in the nation right now in terms of passing yards. He has 18 touchdowns, 7 interceptions on the year, 155 completions. And I'm sure he's in the hunt for some single season passing yardage numbers as well.
Gotta be.
Yeah, Edward Waters still has 2 or 3 games left, if I'm not mistaken. I know they got Allen, they got Lynchburg, and they've got I think they've got 2 games left. 2. They played 8 games, 2, they left 1 open, so I think they've got 2 games left. So that in itself, and I wasn't kidding when I talked about an offensive player of the year type performance. It really was. And just a week ago, thank you, Josh checks in. There we go. 2 games left. Allen, which is the last conference game, and then VUL. Thank you, Mr. Jackson. That's the voice of Edward Waters. For those of you in the chat room who are not familiar, check out Josh, check out the EW Athletics on X and Instagram and all the other places. But they've got they've got about 3 guys who are going to be first team all SIC. They're going to be, you cannot look past them. You cannot look past them. That game also, significantly enough, was the first win against Albany State since 1967, which also happens to be the year that the program, the Edward Waters program, folded or ceased. They discontinued the program then, only to return in 2001. Okay. Also, there's a moment, Jamie, and I tweeted this out and I shared it. Dr. Faison, and I didn't know this at the time, and we jokingly, look, we know he is a passionate president, and if your president is not like Dr. Faison, then as a sports guy, I'm sorry, you were missing out.
Absolutely.
I wish our president was like Dr. Faison. I think the Rattler Charge would be said with some bass in his voice. But anyway, I just really feel like his support of athletics and how he understands that athletics is opening up so many things for Edward Waters University. He's an Albany State alum. I didn't know this, right? So I'm watching him, Jamie, and he is pumped coming over towards the Albany State side, which is where the press box is. And I'm like, where's security? I'm like, is security with president? I mean, he's coming over here like he's a player. I mean, but, he is. I mean, but so I was worried at first. But then towards, as I'm packing up stuff, I look out onto the field, Jamie, and I see Dr. Faison out at midfield with a ball in his hand, and he's just standing there at midfield. And you can tell, Jamie, when you just kind of are soaking up a scene, and you know this as a coach after maybe your biggest win, or if you get a chance to kind of be in the gym or on the field by yourself with nobody else around, and you just kind of stand there, you kind of soaking it up, and you get emotional, you get a chill in your spine. I can look on the field and I can see him having that moment. And that's when Josh was sharing a couple things with me, and you can see he was emotional. And then all of a sudden, I kind of look in the corner, and then I see, oh, look, here comes Mrs. Faison. And I knew at that moment, here comes First Lady of Edward Waters coming there for her husband. And that photo that I shared is the minute she gave him that hug. I bet there was tears all over, and you can see it, you can feel it. And that kind of love, that black love, that love of HBCU, that love of, hey, we've been grinding and we've kind of made it where people now know Albany State is the standard. I mean, Jamie, you know and I know. How many championships has Albany State won over the past 20 years?
Several.
Yes. It's a lot. So for Edward Waters to get that win and to sort of be on that pace and in that space and place where you have to take them seriously. And as he said, I saw an interview he did with Vaughn Wilson on HBCU Game Day. There were a lot of people who told him that they were crazy. You would not rise as fast as you did. And look at him now. So,
hey, Brian, can I chime in on that for a second?
Sure.
Take FAMU out of the picture. The last 2 weeks, they have beaten probably the SIAC's 2 most winningest teams as far as championships.
Yep.
Tuskegee has more championships in the SIAC than anyone.
Yep.
Albany State is up there. FAMU, who's no longer in the SIAC, is the only other team that could challenge as far as the number of total championships in the SIAC throughout its history as a conference. You've defeated in consecutive weeks the 2 teams that are remaining in the conference with the most championships. The 2 most storied programs that remain in the SIAC have gone down to the Edward Waters Tigers in consecutive weeks. Soak that up, everybody.
In dramatic fashion at that. In dramatic fashion.
So, AD, you made that comment last week. if it is a blue blood in the SIAC, those are Fort Valley, Tuskegee, Albany State. When you're talking about defeating those opponents, and I know they didn't get Fort Valley, but when you're talking about them defeating the likes of Tuskegee and Albany State, that has to be a surreal moment. Only because if you understand what this conference has been, especially with him being an Albany State grad, and him understanding being a president of the university.
He was in administration at Tuskegee. Don't forget he was in administration as vice president at Tuskegee.
He knows that athletics is the vehicle to opening up the world to your university. And he embodies that. I'm talking about on Twitter. I'm talking about with programs and things of that nature. His social media presence is large, especially for a university of that size, in getting them known. He's doing a phenomenal job. So I know he had to soak that all in.
Yeah.
Hey, one last comment on the SIAC, Bryan. I want you to imagine this, because we know we've got the championship game coming up in 3 weeks. Benedict is almost a lock, and there are 3, possibly 4 teams vying for that number 2 slot. There are going to be a couple of good teams left out of the SIAC championship. Depending on what happens this week, when these rankings come out, you may see, and I'm throwing this out here for all of the SIAC athletic directors, coaches, fans, presidents, whatever. Could you see a scenario where the next 2 best teams left out decide to play each other in an elimination game to try to get an at-large bid to the D2 playoffs?
This is what the focus was. This was what the intention of changing the format was. Because once we got in the championship game, it was East-West. It was leaving out some squads. Now you are getting that de facto elimination game.
Yeah, because realistically, you could see, let's say Tuskegee beats Biles. I could see a real scenario where Biles and Fort Valley decide to play each other on that same Saturday or possibly a Friday night in an elimination game to see if they can get that extra bid to the D2 playoffs, especially now that Virginia State has lost to the team that they lost to. That is going to hurt them when the rankings come out this week. It's not the loss, it's who they lost to.
All right, look, here we got to catch up on time, and we got Coach Farasi coming in. So we got to get to our segment with Coach, and then we'll come back, and on the other side of that conversation with Coach, we'll finish up just some of the top performances, just some other things. And I even had, we haven't even talked about the Division I FCS level. That went so chalk that it's almost like not even worth talking about. But I did propose an interesting question for debate, Jamie, that I know will be really interesting, especially for the folks in the chat room. So we'll get into that coming up. So hang in there for a short break. Come back. We'll have Coach Farasi Norman joining us and more right here on the BCSN SportsWrap, right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be back in just a moment.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan, Jamie Walker, AD Drew, and I think if Coach Farasi can't hear us, that means he got to log back in. So Coach Norman Farasi will be joining us in a moment. Let me, while we're waiting on Coach to join us, just a quick recap. Again, the homecoming losses were by UAPB, losing 31-7 to Alcorn State. You had Clark Atlanta losing 48-21 to Central State. Delaware State losing to South Carolina State 35-7. Lane, of course, we mentioned losing to VUL. And then Savannah State losing to Tuskegee by a score of
21-14.
Thank you, 41-14.
2-1, not 4-1.
21-14?
Yes.
Okay.
And 4 of those 5 games went chalk, Brian.
Yeah, 21-14. Yeah, we called, yeah, exactly. We called 4 of those 5 games easily. And also the games that were 1 touchdown or less, you had Fayetteville State, Florida Memorial, Howard, Livingstone, Miles, and Winston-Salem State all winning homecoming by 1 touchdown or less. I saw in here, yeah, Will Meyer, congratulations to Florida Memorial, 4-3 for the first time in 63 years. A lot of 60-something going on. You got, history, just all kinds of history over the weekend. Yeah, so appreciate you sharing that. All right, let's bring in Coach. Let's see if we got Coach here. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Can y'all hear me?
We got you, Coach. You sounded good.
Jamie Walker, how you doing, brother?
I am well, Coach Norman. How you doing?
I'm doing well. AD, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing fine out here running these streets, man. Running these streets.
Oh, come on, man. We too old for that. We just need a cold one.
Just go home.
All right. I'm on the road. How about that? That's a little bit better.
Well, hey, I'm at a birthday party. Some family members of mine, we got late Octobers. So instead of just doing a birthday party here, birthday party there, we decided to do one big one. So I'm in the back room, in the guest room, and everybody's up front. I had to put a pillow in the muzzle up there because you could hear all the black women. I tell you, when they get together, they just like to go elevate up high. So I had to put the pillow in there just to. I'm like, hey, you guys, I got to do my segment now. Like, so okay, well, you go ahead and do your thing. I'm like, oh God. So if you happen to hear some noise in the back,
they don't care. They don't care.
If you happen to hear some noise in the back, it's not being rude or disrespectful. But hey, saw some good football this weekend. I was really impressed with some offensive lines, some quarterbacks. Got some good quarterbacks at HBCU level, man. I don't know how tall these are, height, weight, and all that like this, but I seen some strong arms. Got some good receivers because they're the ones who are catching it. But I'm an O-line guy, and I've seen some good O-line play. Real impressed yesterday. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, I was going to say, let's get into talking about these games. I know one of the games you saw, South Carolina State traveling north to take on Delaware State. Interesting because obviously we got a chance to watch South Carolina State at the beginning of the year.
Yes, we did.
Against Jackson State, where they just really kind of looked unprepared for that game. And then, of course, the news of Coach Pugh and all that stuff taken on at the beginning. But in that ball game, South Carolina State ended up giving up a touchdown early to Dell State. So Dell State had a lead. But then South Carolina State, thanks to 21 points in the second quarter, all runs by Jawarn Howell, 21 points, and pretty much it was done. South Carolina State, 357 rushing yards in total, Coach, and they had three guys, three of them, all rushed for over 90 yards with at least one touchdown. Two of the three broke over 100, and of course, as mentioned, Mr. Howell with 3 touchdowns. You were talking about that offensive line doing work. Well, yeah, they did some work, all right.
Yeah, that offensive line was incredible. Like you say, it was a big difference between when we first saw him the first game against Jackson State. I still believe that when Coach Pugh told him he's going to be resigning, that took a lot of air out of who they are, because them boys are big, physical, strong. They got good steps. They got good handwork. I mean, the O-line coach is doing a great job with them. They got to be the biggest. I'm not going to say they're the best, but they got to be the biggest O-line that I've seen in HBCU football. If there's another one, please put it in the chat. But all them brothers is 330, 350. They remind me of what Emmitt Smith had when they called him the wall. Yeah, they had, I think, 358 yards on the ground. That one kid, Jawan, had a great day. Quarterback had all day. Like you say, Delaware State got the ball early, had a good kick return, drove down, threw a pass for like 11 yards for a touchdown, and they had the lead for, I don't know, man, maybe 2 minutes, because maybe 2 series later, old boy broke like a 34-yarder. He went to work. He had a great day on the ground. We know South Carolina State can go 3 deep. And once again, I mean, when you got a line that good, that big, that size, that physical, you know, I mean, it's just grateful as a quarterback and a running back. That's what we look for. And, I mean, they just had a great day. But on the flip side of it, their defensive line showed up, because they did what they wanted to do with Delaware State, brother. I mean, they used them as rag dolls. They bullied them, you know, all day, punched them in the mouth, knocked them down, picked them up, punched them in the mouth, knocked them down, picked them up. I mean, they sacked the quarterback numerous times. He was under pressure. He's a good athlete. And the reason why I say he's a good athlete, is because brother was on the move. You know, he wasn't standing back there drinking tea. He had to move left. He had to move right. He had to step up. I mean, they was on his head, brother. And so I say that game goes to the trenches, to South Carolina's O-line, D-line. Hats out to them. Big claps to them. Great job.
Think about the comparison. What's your evaluation of the difference and improvement in South Carolina State? Do they look like a team that over the next, how many weeks are left in the MEAC, Jamie? 4? Over the next 4 weeks, can they put together, starting Thursday, can they put together 4 wins and win the MEAC?
I think they got a chance. I don't know much about the MEAC. I'm not going to try to sit here and lie in front like that. But from what I saw yesterday at Delaware State, they keep running that ball. That's their strength. Okay. Yeah, they can throw the ball, no doubt about it. They got a good quarterback. They got good receivers, but their strength is in their run game, and they play good defense. And like I was saying last week with Benedict, that D-line was very impressive. I mean, they was on that quarterback. They couldn't stop him. I mean, they couldn't stop him. They couldn't block him. They couldn't double team nothing. Them boys did what they wanted to do. So as long as they can continue to run the ball and that D-line play the way they played, I can see them making a push for the MEAC championship.
You know, they say Buddy Pugh won't pass even when on the interstate. He won't pass either. So.
Hey, I like him.
Drew just wanted to chime in with that one. Great comedic timing there, Drew. Jamie, anything else you wanted to ask, or anything you want to ask Coach regarding that South Carolina State or Delaware State game before we move over to the other one?
More than anything, just comment to echo his sentiments, man. They got back to buddy ball. Coach Pugh's ex-O lineman, and you're talking about somebody that wants to run the football effectively. And that's what they did against Dell State. Coach Norman was exactly right. Dell State scored on that first drive, and it was it. That was it. I mean, they could hardly move the ball after that. That was one of those. I was doing some traveling and actually was able to listen in and look at that game a little bit. But yeah, they got back to doing what South Carolina State is accustomed to doing. You know, all this pitching it around the yard, that's not what they do. What they do is run the football and run it until you stop it. And if you can't stop it, they're going to continue to run it. And as you can see, for 358 yards, they did mission accomplished.
Hey, gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Hey, one other thing while we're on the South Carolina State game, as Buddy Pugh does his Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Julius Erving tour, getting all the gifts as he's retiring. How many times are these BIAC opponents going to give him gifts right before he puts an L on him on his way out the door?
You know what, man? Coach, I know Coach said he didn't know much about the MEAC, but what I will tell you is that is a game plan that they did accomplish against Dale State that can be winning football. I don't care who you are. And so if you put that game plan together against everyone else, I know North Carolina Central is the gold standard. But that game against Morgan State showed me some things on Thursday night that they aren't exactly unbeatable. South Carolina State had a losing record when the year they went into the Celebration Bowl before they went into conference play. They may be playing one for the Gipper. They may be playing out the string to get him back there one more time.
There's a thought. I didn't give much thought to that, Jamie, but well said. Adrian, Delaware State is 1-6, if I'm not mistaken. 1-6.
Hey, that doesn't matter, Brian. I mean, like you said,
he asked the question. I was just answing the question. I saw it.
I'm not jumping on you. I'm just saying. I mean, I know people try to say, "Oh, but they were 1-6 or they were 0-5." Hey, they're a young team. I don't know how long that coach has been there. They got some talent over there.
First year.
Okay. See, he's a first year coach. Got a lot of first year coaches out there. Hopefully next year I can get my butt on the sideline. I can be one too. But they got a great offensive line, and like they said, they were playing buddy ball. They were running that ball downhill. Wouldn't have mattered that day who was in front of them. That O-line was blocking. Wouldn't have mattered who was in front of them. That D-line was coming to eat. And so, hey, I if they just continue the way they played yesterday, I can see them pushing for the MEAC championship. And like I said, before he leaves, of course, they love that man. So they want to see him go out on top.
Just off the subject, when is South Carolina State's last home game? Who is it and when is it? Do you are you maybe?
I want to say it's the 11th.
Yeah, I think November 11th wrapped up everything.
We can if you find it, Jamie, we can bring it up later in the show. I was just kind of curious about it.
Yeah, I had some info pulled up.
All right. Coach, let me go to the next game. Alcorn State at UAPB, another homecoming game. As Alcorn traveled to Pine Bluff. Shout out to the people in Pine Bluff. 13,000 plus people showed up. Capacities like 16. Great crowd. Great job. Congratulations, UAPB, for pulling it together and showing up, even with the team sort of in a downwards trend. You still showed up to support. You still showed up. But Alcorn, as a team, rushed for 304 net yards. Jarvion Howard woke up and 14 carries, 155 net, including a 56-yard run. He had 1 touchdown. Kobe Towns had 9 carries, 68 yards. Coach, Alcorn quietly looking like the team in the West that people better start paying attention to.
First quarter, they weren't woke yet because the quarterback, he overthrew a couple receivers. They had a couple drop balls. But from the second to the end of the game, they was hitting all cylinders, brother. Hitting all cylinders. They threw it well. Obviously, like I said, they ran it well. That O-line did a great job blocking for that quarterback, for those running backs. I was very impressed with Alcorn. That was the first time I got to see Alcorn and UAPB. I'm a Langston man, so Pine Bluff is always one of our rivals. They're a young team. Of course, we got another first-year head coach. They got a lot of youngsters out there, a lot of freshmen, sophomores out there. I got no doubt they'll get it together. Come to find out, my buddy that I played college ball with at Langston is a D coordinator. I found out yesterday watching the game, David Calloway. He played D tackle for us at Langston. He comes from a good stock. Our strength was the defense when we was at Langston. And so I know him. Everywhere he's been, he's always had a great defense. Not a good defense, a great defense. So I know it's got to be something inside of his stomach that's burning because they're not playing very well right now. But I can guarantee you, if they can keep everybody together with a recruiting class, I probably know they imagine they got coming in. And I know that guy like I know that guy. Next year, it'll be a whole different story defensively for Arkansas Pine Bluff because they will get after it. They're just young, man. I'm not gonna say they're not very good because that's kind of degrading them, and I don't want to degrade nobody. I would just say first year coaches, first year staff, a lot of young players. But Alcorn, nothing to take away from Alcorn. They threw that ball very well. They got a nice size tight end. I think he's 6'4", 220. He caught a touchdown. Coach Manaire's son, he caught a little skinny post. He caught a touchdown. That line did a great job. I think it was like late second quarter. It was like 4th and 2, and they just blew them boys to the back of the end zone like woof. And the quarterback walked for the first yard for the first down, keep moving. And then third quarter, somewhere in the middle of the third, I can't remember, but I know it's third quarter, they was on the 1 yard line. Same thing. That offensive line blew that defensive line backwards. Quarterback walked in for the touchdown. So the offensive line had a great day. Kudos to the offensive line. You know, I love the big fellas. Alcorn could make a run this year if they continue to play. I think they're getting better each week, which is what you want now. That all line stays healthy. They got big boys. I mean, they're not as big as South Carolina State, but they're not small. They're not small, you know, and they're physical. You know, you saw that yesterday. I mean, they were pushing folks around. So as long as they can continue to run the ball, throw the ball, defensively get better, but it still starts in the trenches. Keep them fellas healthy, keep that quarterback upright. I think Alcorn will have something to say at the end of the day.
Anything you want to add in there, Jamie, or talk on regarding Alcorn and, you know?
Listen, I'm gonna echo again, Coach. Spot on. Alcorn is again under Coach McNair, ascending at the right time, and I think that Western part of that division is doing their thing, man. I mean, I think, you know, the mess that is the SWAC West will settle itself out, but at the same time, Alcorn is playing good ball at the right time. I said this the other day. It's gonna come down to the Soul Bowl for me, even though they, you know, them and Jackson aren't in the same division. I think when it comes to them playing, I think that's gonna say a lot to settle all of this. But I don't know if you can just pick one team coming out of the West. But like Coach said, you know, Aaron Allen at the quarterback position has played well the last few weeks, starting with that Grambling game into this one. UAPB is not quite there yet, but they, you know, I love what Coach Hampton is doing with that squad. Enthusiastic, wants to get that program on good footing. So I think they'll be just fine, but just not there yet. But otherwise, you know, watch out for the Braves.
Hey, look, this is a scary thing with Aaron Allen playing as good as he is and Jarvion Howard being released from the witness protection program and back toting the rock for Alcorn State. Not only is it a scary thing for the rest of those teams in the West, but FAMU, you need to be on alert also, because that is a probable opponent in a potential SWAC championship game. And we've seen some teams run the ball effectively against Florida A&M. And what would be the two keys of beating Florida A&M? Controlling the clock and putting pressure on Musa, which is something Alcorn can also do to FAMU.
Aaron Allen, by the way, 14 of 26, 219 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, clean jersey, no sacks. He also ran 5 times for 37 net yards and had a touchdown there. So responsible for 3 touchdowns there. So
clean jersey. Shout out to the big fellas.
Exactly. Shout out to the big fellas. All right, Coach got a chance to also watch that game in Texas. I see you wearing that Texan shirt right there in Houston. Florida A&M traveled to Texas Southern. The Rattlers kept the winning streak alive in the SWAC on the road as they pick up a 31-21 victory over Texas Southern. Started out a little slow as Texas Southern got out to a 14-0 lead. I love AD's comments. So just some jet lag, a little jet lag from the trip out to Houston. Maybe you know, a little barbecue, the temperature and everything else in Houston. Maybe it's just a little different. So it kind of took the team a minute to get going. But once they got going, they put up 21 points in the third quarter, and that was all she wrote. Coach, what'd you think about the Rattlers' performance in Texas?
I thought it was a tale of two halves. First half truly belonged to Texas Southern. They ran it well. They blocked well. that quarterback is getting better every week. You know, I know everyone loves this. They love to keep bringing up Andrew Body. I hope Andrew Body resting. I guess he has health issues or something like that. They talking about he's medically redshirting, so I hope he's training, getting back healthy and strong. But that quarterback is pretty dang good, man. Not very big, but he's got a good arm. He's getting better. You can see the team rallying around him.
You talking about FAMU's quarterback?
No, sir. I'm talking about Texas Southern's quarterback.
Okay.
So he's getting better every week. You can tell the team is starting to rally around him compared to when he first took over till now. He's got more confidence. That O-line is blocking. I mean, they're doing a great job. Once again, they're big. Not as big as South Carolina State, but they're not small either. They did a good job blocking. Can't say enough about that running back, though, number 22. Short, stocky, quick, got good vision. Not very fast, but he's very effective. He reminds me of the guy that they had up in Dallas behind a big line. We all know who I'm talking about. Where's that same number? And when I was watching him yesterday, I was just smiling like, wow, he reminded me so much of Emmitt Smith because he's toting that thing. You know, he's toting that thing. He's got good speed. He's got a quick agility. He's hard to bring down. Their quarterback's getting better. Like I say, tell the two halves. Right before the halftime, if I'm not mistaken, I think Musa threw one up the seam to a guy wide open. And he threw a couple bad balls, which everybody throws bad balls. But that second half was all FAMU. Now, I imagine Coach went in there and did what coaches do to get them right. They came out there, and it was just like, wow, okay, here we go. We are the team that everyone needs to beat because he threw that ball very well. They ran it effectively. They blocked very well for him up front. And, Musa looked like he looked like a Heisman Trophy candidate that second half, brother. I mean, he was on point. I was like, wow. That's why I said a couple weeks ago, you know, if as long as they keep him upright and healthy, I think FAM will be, you know, they'll have something to say about who's going to win the SWAC. You know, Alcorn's getting better. Texas Southern's getting better, although they lost. But keep Musa upright, and they're doing a great job of that. I see FAM, hosting that trophy. I really do.
Yeah, so Texas Southern, Jace Wilson, who at the beginning of the year was the third string QB, 16 to 29, 183 yards, threw 3 touchdowns in the game, 1 interception. He was sacked 3 times. And then, of course, that running back you're talking about, none other than Ladarius Owens.
Yeah. Ladarius Owens.
We knew after his performance the week before at Bethune-Cookman, we knew what he was going to do, and he had 19 carries, 138 net yards, which against this FAMU defense is pretty doggone impressive. I'm going to admit that is. And then on special teams, I think he had 60 something yards on special teams. 63 yards on kickoff returns. So, I mean, you're talking another week of nearly 200 all-purpose yards. Last week, I think he had over 200 all-purpose. This week, he got real close again. So he is definitely a name worth paying attention to. And, of course, Musa accounted for 3 touchdowns, 2 passing, 1 running. FAMU did get a big run from Kelvin Dean, which led to a touchdown, 49-yard touchdown run. Dean had 83 net yards, so that was sort of his breakout game.
Is that the big back? Is that big back 235?
Yeah, number 9.
He was running hard downhill all game. I mean, he's a good one too. He was a good one too.
Yeah, the big bat you're probably thinking of is number 1. He's the bigger of the FAMU backs. 1, 9, and 23 are the primary backs. Unless I see Shareed in here with some rushing, so you know those little jet sweeps that they run for Shareed.
Hey, he's a good player too. I was impressed with him yesterday. He had a couple jet sweeps, picked up 15, 20 yards a pop. He caught the ball well, so they got what you need. I mean, TAMU, stay healthy, stay strong, keep Musa upright. I got no doubt, Orange and Green will be saying, hey, it comes over here through Tallahassee.
Yeah, 21 points in that quarter, and so of course it sets the table for a matchup this upcoming weekend. Number 1, FAMU in the East. Number 1, Prairie View in the West. That's going to be in Tallahassee for FAMU's homecoming. So, given everything that we've seen, FAMU's going to have to be on alert. Any other games? I know you got people there at the house, Coach, so I don't want to keep you too long. Any other games that you checked out, or any other thoughts you want to share with us?
I would like to say something real quick if I can, Brian, AD, Jamie. I was looking at Twitter, X, I keep saying Twitter, but it's X. And someone said the other day, like, what do we need to do to get, basically like to get the enrollment up, to encourage young people to go to HBCUs? And no, they said something like, why aren't young people going to HBCUs? And I'm thinking to myself, because we don't know our history. We don't know how positive HBCUs can be. We don't know the morale and the camaraderie that you can have by being on campus. Quick story real quickly. I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico. We're black people, we're the minority out here. New Mexico is heavily Hispanic dominated, followed by Native American, followed by Caucasians, then there's us. Not gonna say I didn't know who I was, but I didn't know who I was. I come from a rough neighborhood, everything like that. I went to junior college in Arizona. It was a couple brothers from Florida, a couple brothers from Arizona. But, we were still using the N-word a lot. We called girls B words and H's and stuff like that, not good. Went to Langston. Didn't hear those kind of languages. My first day on campus, I didn't hear anyone disrespect a young sister. I didn't hear anyone, fight with one another. It was no cliques like these guys were red, so they're over here, and these guys were blue, so they're over here, or these guys got hat to left to right, so they're over here. Everyone was one. And I was just impressed, like, wow, I've never seen nothing like this before. So I fell in love first day. I went to summer school there in summer 95, May 95, okay? So I'm going to say around June 95. I knew the head coach, of course. I knew the D coordinators, they were there. I knew 4 or 5 of the players on the team because they were taking summer school like I was. So we're in the gym, the big gym where they play basketball. This is a true story. I'm standing there, and, not same with me. I'm 5'8", 220 pounds. I'm buff. I'm in shape. I love the weight room, everything like that. So I'm just standing there with my shirt off because I'm waiting for someone to say, hey, man, you want to run? Because I don't know anyone in the gym. This young sister walks by me, and she smiles at me. So I smile back. And she stops. She says, you're new here. And I said, yes, I am. She grabs me by the hand, and we start walking towards the bleachers. So I'm thinking, wow, okay. Hey, all I do is with my shirt off? Oh, yeah, I like this. So I go over there. Hey, fellas, this young lady proceeded to give me free tuition, which means she enhanced my mind. It wasn't about let's get together or let's go out. It was about set me down and says, thank you for coming to Langston. Let me tell you the ins and outs. She told me all about the teachers, who's good. She told me about the athletic department. She said she liked the football program because they had won their second conference championship, so they got the school up and going. We had a well-known basketball coach by the name of Weldon Drew, who had coached at New Mexico State. He coached at Indiana with Bobby Knight. She said so he was well respected on campus. Our president, Dr. Holloway, rest in peace. Dr. Holloway is a good friend of mine. I still owe him $5,000. Don't tell nobody. Everything like that. But she talked about Dr. Holloway and how good he was to the campus. She said it's nothing to see Dr. Holloway coming out there, hanging out there. You'll walk to the cafeteria and he'll be sitting there eating breakfast, lunch, or dinner with you. Like, hey, come on, ever have a seat. And she was not lying. Dr. Holloway was good people. Langston was very, very family oriented, which once again, I wasn't used to that. Coming up to where I did, we stuck to our own in our neighborhood. And if you had on this color, you had to left, right. It was an altercation. I now think that's foolishness, but I'm 16, 17, 18. So we don't know the history. I knew that Walter Payton had went to a black college. I know which one. I just knew he went to a black college. I knew Jerry Rice went to one down in Mississippi. I didn't know how good his coach was, or that his coach invented the West Coast offense and sold it to the 49ers. A lot of people don't know that Archie Cooley, that offense that they call the West Coast, that was his offense that they were running at Mississippi Valley when they were whooping everybody's butt. You don't know that. I didn't know this, that Ed Too Tall Jones, who played for the Cowboys, was the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft. Come on now, talk to me. I think the next person we had something close to that is back in 95 when we had the late, great Steve Aaron McNair. I think he was the 3rd pick in 95 to the Houston Oilers, who became the Titans. Al Davis. Now, I'm not a Raiders fan. I'm an Al Davis fan because Al Davis used to go down to shake hands with Eddie Robinson, shake hands with Jet Gaither, shake hands with Archie Cooley, and would pick these players up. You go back and you look at that roster for the Raiders in the 60s, 70s, early 80s, HBCU guys. You look at the NFL Hall of Fame, HBCU guy. So we have a rich tradition at the HBCU that young kids don't know. Another true story. Tears might come to my eyes, so bear with me. 18 years old. It's May 1990. I'm in high school, getting ready to graduate in a couple weeks. We had this big, heavy-set, pretty lady. She was from back east. Her name was Miss Berry, okay? She was in charge of the Black Student Union called the BSU. So She's running down the hallway. She's a big woman, you guys. She's a big woman. She's running and she's screaming my name, Farasi, Farasi. So I'm hanging with the fellas and I'm looking at her. And so I'm thinking that someone had done something to this woman. So now I got to go defend her, everything like that. And she's running down the hallway, Farasi, Farasi. So she gets to me and she's out of breath. She got her hand on my shoulder and she says, hey, my homeboy just got the head coaching job at a black college. Come to my room. Let's call him. I want you to talk to him. I want you to play for him. This is how young and naive I was at 18 years old. I had long hair like Snoop Dogg, used to wear ponytails and everything like that. And I shoved her hand off my shoulder and I says, I ain't going to no dang HBCU because I don't know the benefit of an HBCU. I knew USC and Texas. That's where I wanted to go. I had that kind of talent and had those kind of grades. So I went to junior college route. Things didn't work out for me. So I ended up at an HBCU. And I told myself that summer 95, I got to go find Ms. Berry and say, hey, I apologize to you for the way I treated you in that hallway. I owe you an apology. Give her a hug and a kiss because you tried to help me several years ago. Now I'm on track because Langston helped change my mind. That's one of the reasons why I'm so adamant about being a head coach at HBCU level, you guys, because I owe so much. So when I go back in summer of 95, after I get to face Langston and I'm loving it, correction, 96, I'd already been at Langston a year. I got to go back and tell Ms. Berry, hey, I'm so sorry. So I go back to my old school in New Mexico, Albuquerque. I go see the principal and I said, hey, what's going on? I'm here to see Ms. Berry. He just stares at me real funny. He's like, Frosty, come to my office. I said, hey, man, I don't go to school here no more, so I don't need to go to the principal's office. When I was in school, I was always in the principal's office because I was in trouble. So he said, no, come to my office. So we go to the office, he shuts the door, and he said, Ms. Berry passed away a couple years ago. Fellas, I started crying. Because now I can't even apologize to a woman who tried to help me in 1991. Excuse me, fellas. But nothing I can do. So I owe her, okay? I owe her. I owe the coaches at Langston because they always told me, no matter what you do, don't leave here without that degree. Because I never ever thought I got 3 degrees. I got an AA, I got a bachelor's, I got a master's. When I graduated high school, the only thing I want to do is play in the NFL. I didn't get a chance to do that. But I got some more than that because every day I wake up, I look at my walls, I see my degrees, I smile. I smile because I made it. So I try to give back. I've encouraged 10 or 12 people to go to Langston. They did. They graduated. 3 or 4 of my family members. I got a little nephew who's my age now. Well, he's 17, football player, talented. He's a lot smarter than I was when I was that age because he's really sharp. And the other day he came to me and he says, Uncle Frosty, I got some schools I want to attend. I said, well, talk to me, nephew. So he threw out 3 or 4 schools in Texas. I said, great schools. And he said, and he got an HBCU list. Prairie View, Texas Southern, Jackson State. I said, let's concentrate on the second list. He looked at me. I said, let's concentrate on the second list. You're going to enjoy being at the HBCU. You're going to enjoy graduating from the HBCU. And trust me when I tell you, they're going to take advantage of your talents. Nephew, if it's meant for you to play on Sunday, they'll come find you. God will bless you. But if not, you're going to enjoy being at an HBCU. That's what I'm trying to give back. That's what I owe. That's why I'm knocking on doors and waving my hand and on Twitter and everything. And Bryan, once again, brother, I thank you for accepting me when I was in Hawaii. Excuse me. But I just owe so much. We don't know the value of an HBCU. Someone has to sit us down and tell us, like that little black pretty woman told me in 1995, I'm thinking she's trying to flirt with me. She wasn't trying to flirt with Frosty. She was trying to let me know the values of the Greeks, the teachers, the athletic department, what you're about to encounter over the next 2 years. Enjoy it. And she also said, Farasi, if you don't make it to the NFL, please get your degree because that's really the most important. And I just stared at her, and it was like walking into a house that was dark. You turn on the lights were just coming on in my head. Excuse me. Lights were just coming on in my head because I'm thinking, wow. And fellas, to this day, I love Langston. I love HBCUs. And I'm trying to get back to share my story and to help young men just get better like they helped me. Excuse me. But I owe so much. And we have to tell our youth the positivities of HBCU. Nothing against USC, nothing against Texas, Notre Dame, LSU, or nothing against none of that. But like I was telling some kid the other day, I said, when you get drafted to the NFL, they're not going to draft you because you played in a stadium of 100,000. They're not going to draft you because you had 10 or 12 different uniforms and 5 or 6 different helmets. They're going to draft you because, one, they've done their homework on you, they can trust you, and you can play at a high level, and you can represent their organization. So it doesn't matter if you're coming from USC or if you're coming from Langston. Hey, our 4-3 at Langston is just as good as 4-3 at Oklahoma. Our 4-4, our 6'5", 250-pound linebacker that can run a 4-4 is just as good as the one that's at Oklahoma State. It's just the fact that we need to keep getting the light shined on us and things that sort like that. But the atmosphere, the camaraderie, the friendships, fellas, right now, I think I only talked to one or two friends that I went to high school with. I talked to one that I went to junior college with. I still stay in touch with about 20 male, female wise from Langston. Talk to me. Talk to me. That's what I'm talking about, the camaraderie, whether it's by Twitter, whether it's by email, whether we're bumping into each other, however it may be, we still say, what's up, bud? How you doing? I was coaching at an all-star game a couple of years ago in Dallas, and I'm standing up there, and I tell everybody my name's Farasi, I'm from Langston. There's one brother in the back stands up, and he says, L, you. Naturally, we run and I respond, you know, and everybody's looking, never met that brother. So when I was done speaking, I walked through the crowd, because we gave each other a hug like we've been friends since kindergarten.
Yes,
what
sir.
was our combination? Langston University. I met some people. You guys know I just turned 51. This several years back. So they were already in their 50s. I'm in my 30s. And we were just talking about college and everything. They were like, yeah, we got educated at Langston. And I said, excuse me, what'd you say? And they must have thought I was mad or something because they looked at each other. I said, no. Where'd you go to school at? They said, Langston University. And I smiled like a rat in a cheese factory. And I gave them both kisses. And I said, hey, L-U. And they said, you know. And we talked for like 30 minutes like we've been friends. That's what I'm talking about. We don't know this as young 16, 17, 18-year-olds. It takes someone to tell us. I know I'm just going on and on. I thank you guys. But we have to be able to educate our young black brothers and sisters. And not only that, but, nowadays, if the Native Americans, the Hispanics, the Caucasians want to get involved, hey, we welcome you. As long as you understand our culture and the way we do things, you're more than welcome to come to our party. Everything like that. We don't like the N-word, so please leave that at the door. Anything like that. But come on through the door. But, hey,
Well said,
I think
Coach.
that God will bless me this year, fellas. Brian, once again, I thank you, the network, AD, Jamie Walker. I know I just met you, brother, but if you happen to know someone out there looking for somebody that can lead the right way, tell them, hey, I got Coach Norman. I'm on speed dial. I owe so much, and I want to repay it. Brian, this week I'm gonna try to get to Grambling and who Grambling got because it's on the network. I know I seen it last night on the network. So I'm gonna try to get 3 games under my belt, but I'm gonna definitely try to get 2 on the network this weekend, and I'll let you know.
All right, Coach. Wow, thank you
Yes, man.
for sharing those words. I know I'm seeing the comments in the chat. A lot of great memories of people going through similar stories, whether it be transferring and finding themselves at HBCU or just that connection of wanting to reach back out to that teacher from high school or wherever. So certainly appreciate you sharing that with us. And
Absolutely.
Thank you, brother.
Can I throw one more thing in on that? And then that was a great story. The only thing I want to add to that is the total HBCU connection in the HBCU diaspora. As I've gone through corporate America, mostly Caucasian corporate America, when you get to a job and you find someone else who graduated from an HBCU, does not have to be your school, and I'll take Jamie. If me and Jamie are working on a job together and I found out he went to A&T, there's a instant connection right there because our stories are similar. We struggled in the same financial aid, not the same financial aid line, but the same financial aid situation, the same registration situation, the dorm situation. We remember them parties and all that stuff that you learn at HBCU because, and Brian attests to this because we just happen to both have the same major both of us were business majors. We took different emphasis. But the one thing that I remember from FAMU outside of our motto, no other place will prepare you for how to deal with people who don't look like you and don't love you than the people here who look like you and love you. Because if we struggle and survive with people who look like us, putting us through some of the scenarios that we did, we can survive any damn where.
I agree with you 100%, brother. I agree with you 100%.
Absolutely.
Well said. All right, Coach, I'm gonna let you get back to that party. You guys continue celebrating those birthdays. Have a piece of cake,
bro.
Yeah, exactly. Have a piece of cake for me, Coach. Not too many, thin slice. Light icing. And we'll talk later on in the week. All right, Coach?
Hey, fellas, once again, appreciate all you guys. The band plays good music. You guys enjoy the rest of the evening. Take care.
All right.
All right, Coach.
All right, again, that's Coach Farasi Norman. Make sure to find him on Twitter, or X as it's called these days, at Coach Farasi. Let's take a short break, come back. Let's get into a little more of it, finish up with some analysis on what the big boys did over the weekend. And it's time to start spotlighting the big week 9, including a full plate of SWAC games for the first time this season. All 12 teams playing against each other for the first time this year. So we'll talk about that and more right on the other side. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap right here on the Black College Sports Network.
Itchy, squirmy, scratchy, family not getting clean? Get Charmin Ultra Strong. Go get 'em. It just cleans better. With a diamond weave texture, your family can use less while still getting clean.
Goodbye, itchy squirm. Hello, cream bottom.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
At Hampton Law, our primary goal is to provide non-traditional yet effective solutions and redefine the approach to client legal concerns. As your trusted legal advisor, we believe in sophisticated, personalized services that eliminate the confusion and complexity sometimes associated with legal matters. Our high standard for client care and concern, coupled with our extensive legal knowledge and skills, make Hampton Law a resource focused on the protection of the client's interest and overall goals. We value our clients and truly enjoy working with them. Visit thamptonlaw.com to conveniently schedule an appointment online. Tamika Hampton Esquire, 1631 Rock Springs Road, Suite 336, Apopka, Florida, 407-494-1471. thamptonlaw.com.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Stride K-12 powered schools are ready to put over 20 years of being a leader in online education to work for you. Dive into curriculum designed for the online classroom. Team up with state-certified teachers trained in virtual instruction. Take control of your child's education journey. Discover the power of personalized learning with a leader experienced in preparing kids for a future they can be excited about. Take charge. Stride K-12. Enroll now for the fall.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan, Jamie, AD Drew on remote traveling across the country. Hey, Jamie, I want to take a second and go through some of the spotlight performances from this past yesterday, from Saturday. Starting off with your guy, Amon Cook, Jamie.
Probably the only bright spot of the year for the for my beloved North Carolina A&T Aggies. But yeah, man, you're talking about a returner that's phenomenal. Already with 4 on the year, 4 returns, touchdowns. I think it's 4, or is it 5?
4? I thought it was 3. I don't know. I thought it was 3, but you said 4. Okay.
Check it out. But hey, don't get stats for sure. But definitely one of the only bright spots of the year because the offense is so putrid. I call a spade a spade. But the only scoring that's taken place was by him, as far as touchdowns are concerned. So give him props, man. Just phenomenal returner. Hopefully, we can turn the offense around. So definitely one of those bright spots. I can elaborate on so much when it comes to the squad. I think the defense is playing improved. They're solid, but when you don't have when your offense is so inept, it's not but so much holding you can do. But Tamar Cook definitely one of the bright spots for the Aggies.
Yes, indeed. A 92-yard kickoff against Richmond, who you guys played over the weekend. Trailing 17-0 in the second quarter when that happened. So props to the special teams unit for opening up that hole, making it happen. Also, Terrell Allen, or Terrell, maybe is how you say it, Allen of Tennessee State. He was spotlighted by the FCS NCAA website. 7 tackles, 4 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, and Tennessee State's beating 54 to something over Lincoln. I feel like I'm gonna my rankings this week, Jamie, might be based on how everybody has done against Lincoln. I'm just gonna go through the list and see. Okay, Tennessee State beat them by 54, which I think is the high. Who else played Lincoln, and how bad did you beat Lincoln? I think I may have to kind of do that.
Hey, Brian, don't forget, fam, you got them coming up soon. So
I'm scared about that, Drew, because let me just say I'm scared about that because our ability to put points up on the board has been seriously questioned and should be questioned. And I don't know why that is, but everybody will be looking at us the same way they looked at us following Valley or North Carolina Central playing Valley in a neutral site. And, they put 45 points on the board, so FAMU should do that as well. What FAMU put up 31 points. Everybody's disappointed.
I don't know if it's about the points they put up or the points they gave up. And that's going to be the other thing when it comes to Lincoln.
It's going to be both. It's going to be both. If you get any look, there will be. I know there's a voter. I know you and Josh, you guys are politicking and out there, but there's a voter. I don't know who he is, but he's probably lingering out there. That the minute FAMU does not put 54 points, shut out Lincoln, they will switch their vote. And they're going to give it to somebody else, and they might give it to Tennessee State. Hell, who knows? But I'm just saying that will happen. Just because pollsters are like that. Nasty. Jarvion Howard mentioned for Alcorn, 14 carries, 55 yards. Kendrick Rhymes of Southern, 22 carries, 128 yards. Score Southern with a 28-18 win over Bethune-Cookman. We mentioned Darius Owens. We mentioned him just a second ago. Jawarn Howell, Tyler Smith, and Josh Shaw. That's the triumvirate of running back for South Carolina State that racked up 357 yards in total. Howell, 13 carries, 119, and 3 touchdowns.
When you watch the news right now, you see what has happened in Israel. Not just
yards and 1 touchdowns. And Quentin Williams, I guess, we mentioned Aaron Allen scoring 3 touchdowns. We mentioned Jeremy Musa, 3 touchdowns. You got to mention Quentin Williams. All he did was scored 2 touchdowns in the air, including a game-winning drive for Howard coming back against Norfolk State out. 14 of 24, 244 yards and 2 touchdowns, 1 INT, and then he had 5 carries for 42 yards and a touchdown as well. Anybody else? Any other big names that that we failed to mention? I know a lot of those were FCS guys. Any other names? Any names that we might have mentioned or forgotten to mention?
Not that just popped up. I think there were a lot of performances. What I'm saying, that was worthy. Got the Jackson State's quarterback's name, first start. Matter of fact, had a touching story as well. His parents was there and for his first start, so that was cool. But really good performance in their win versus Valley. Even though that game was a little bit closer than I thought it would be, it's better than the blowout. But I don't know why. Probably my fault more than anything, because Valley had been playing well, especially in their victory last week against Pine Bluff. So, they, coming in playing well, but it wasn't a thing where, I think that team is still coming into their own. But as far as performances, definitely one of those things that he stood out. Jacobian Morgan, that's his name. Had a really good game, being able to both run and pass. So I think a standout in that game, but I think you covered the other one, so we're good to go.
Just in terms of games, Jackson State 21-6 over Mississippi Valley State. 10,000 people in attendance. I talked about that capacity thing. That Jackson State is on a run right now of people, whether it be the Jackson State fan base themselves that are traveling or just people want to see Jackson State. They're on a bit of a run right now, filling up the capacity at stadiums right now across the SWAC. There were 6 total turnovers in that contest. Jackson State lost 3 fumbles. Mississippi Valley State threw 3 interceptions. So hey, guess what? It is kind of tough going into Mississippi Valley State, isn't it? I just had to put that out there for people in case you wondered. Only 10,000 people. I'm doing this because there's a theme here, Jamie, so bear with me. 10,186 at the Jacksonville Stadium that the Jaguars play in to see Southern and Bethune. Southern had a lead as much as 28-10 with about 9:04 left in the fourth quarter. Bethune got a late score. Never really in doubt that game. As I mentioned, the FAMU 31-21 win against Texas Southern in front of 8,956 people, which was 41% capacity. Everbank Stadium. Thank you, Josh. Everbank Stadium is the bank. It's not the bank, but the stadium that the Jaguars played in, that Southern and Bethune. And I let me go back for that, because I thought, Jamie, that was an opportunity. Like last year, they had 23 when Jackson State came. And I know there was all this pre-game buzz that Coach Sanders had mentioned about why we playing in that stadium. But then he kind of came back and was really happy to see the crowd that was there. And then, this with only 10,000 people showing up, again, I don't know. We just have to. It's a deeper discussion. I think that we'll eventually have to have. Howard on their homecoming, only 7,684. That's
Can I say something on that, Brian?
Hold on a second. Hold on, Drew. 7,684 at Howard's homecoming. 77% capacity to see their game against Norfolk State. Just thought I'd throw that out. What were you going to add, Drew?
I was going to say, first off, the Valley game is hard to go in and play on the dirt that they have for a field there at Valley. Number 1. And number 2, getting back, going on the thing, seeing this trend with the professional team.
Drew, your connection's gotten worse. Hold on. Your connection's gotten worse. I don't know where you're at now.
It's not like you're giving Morse code.
Yeah. I don't know. I got a sub signal that said to go pick up a ham and cheese sandwich. I don't know. Hold on. He's gonna call back. Edwin Moore chimed in. 77% capacity. The joint was packed like a sardine can. I'm assuming, Edwin, you were there at Howard's homecoming. So I don't know. I guess Yeah. All right. Here's Drew back. Let's see if Drew's better. Drew, are you? Oh Lord, that sounds worse. Okay, hold on. There you go. All right, Drew, we got you now.
Is that better?
We'll see. Start talking. Start talking and see what happens, Drew.
Y'all must start moving along. Where we at in the conversation now?
Well, it's not getting better. It's not getting better. For some reason, whenever you talk, it's just like it's the I don't know what's going on there on your end. Try again one more time. We'll see what happens. Drew. All right. Well, there was that. Okay, Jamie. Let me move forward with a couple things because I love the spreads. I love the expectations, right? So I did a little digging. This is for those of you who would like to partake. And by the way, Jamie, what time does the Sunday night game start?
Oh man, it might be on. I'm not sure. 8:30.
8:20. Hopefully, is it 8:30 or 8:20?
I'm not sure.
All right. Anyway, just speaking of that. Okay, so I did a little digging here into some of the numbers, some of the against the spread numbers, for those of you who were interested, because this is that point of the year where there's opportunities. There's opportunities to earn. So I will never lead you down a dark road. Jeremiah Clark said in 5 minutes. Yikes. Okay, thank you. I will never lead you down a dark road without something to help you out with. So I found some interesting things here. The following teams this season are 4-2 against the spread against either FCS or FBS opponents. That's North Carolina Central, South Carolina State, and Morgan State. All of them are 4-2 against the spread. I'll give you one other MEAC team that's actually better than that. That's Norfolk State. They are 5-1 against the spread, including 4 straight covers. Now, here's the thing about some of these numbers, though, Jamie. For all of these schools, maybe with the exception of South Carolina State, all of them are best played when they are an underdog. What do I mean by that? Go and look at if you're looking at the line and you see North Carolina Central is an underdog to whomever, Campbell, or who was it they played after that, Elon, by plus whatever, right on North Carolina Central. They are 4-0 this season as an underdog.
Interesting.
Morgan State is 4-1 as an underdog. Norfolk State is 5-1 as an underdog. That is, and the reason I say that is because as the upcoming schedule of the MEAC comes into play, that's going to be something to pay attention to. So pay attention. Now, the other team, and this is what people in the industry call auto fade, is when you see Delaware State, you just instantly take the other side. Delaware State is 0-5 against the spread and 0-5 as a dog. So, of course, that's all they've ever been. So, in other words, who's playing Delaware State this week, let me see. I happen to be on the MEAC site here. I go to look at the schedules. Howard will be playing at Delaware. Howard will be traveling to Delaware State. That's an auto play on Howard this upcoming weekend. Delaware State is 0-5, and balance that out. Howard is 3-2 against the spread this year. Although they're 0-1 as a favorite, they haven't played Delaware State. So Delaware State is 0-5. You take that trend. Jamie, you curious about your North Carolina A&T Aggies?
Not really, but I'm sure you're gonna give me the information anyway. So I'll receive it, sir.
Aggies may bring you misery on TV or the radio, but they might bring you joy in your back pocket if you play against them. They are 1-6 against the spread this year, 0-2 as a favorite, and 1-4 as an underdog. So pretty rare that you find a team that is 1-6 in their actual record, and then also 1-6 against the spread. Nothing really interesting popped out between Hampton and Tennessee State. Both are 3-3, so no real advantage there. So I just thought I'd bring that to everybody's attention, as MEAC play begins to crank up in the upcoming week, or actually we're in the middle of MEAC play, but the second week of 5.
Well, it's interesting, very interesting, because 2 of those teams that you said were 4-2 against the spread play each other Thursday, South Carolina State and Central.
Yes. So the question is, the game will be at North Carolina Central. North Carolina Central most likely will be the favorite. They're 2-2 as a favorite this year. I will probably be playing South Carolina State, who is not only away where they are 3-0 against the spread, but they're also an underdog, 2-1. So I will be playing South Carolina State, depending on what that number is. Be looking forward to that. Let's see if Drew is back. All right, Drew, are you back?
You tell me, am I back?
Hey, you sound.
Hey, that sound great, sir.
All right, carry on with your point. And I don't know if you heard any of my ATS numbers there on the MEAC as well, but you can comment on that as well.
I got most of it, but yeah, it is what it is. It makes us a very interesting back pocket dynamics.
Right. So what was it you wanted to add regarding, in that segment when you were breaking up a little bit?
You were talking something about attendance and stadium capacities and all that stuff. Am I correct there, Brian?
Yes, correct.
All right. Let's think about what the trend has been for the last 10 years on the professional level. Building these new stadiums with more fan experiences, with more social gathering places, things like that, as the professionals have realized that the old fan experience with bleachers and hot dog vendors does not work anymore. And some way, somehow, our HBCUs need to partner with their local communities, with the governments in their local community, whether they're public or privately funded HBCUs, and figure out a way to enhance their stadium experience, and to get more of these social gathering places and social gathering events outside of the tailgate. We know the experience outside the stadium is second to none, but the experience in the stadium, and sometimes the roads to get to the stadium, leave much to be desired. We're talking a lot of our stadiums that were built, let's be real, Brian, a lot of these stadiums we play in are older than you and I. A lot of these stadiums are 70, 80 years old. Why do you think Benedict has such an advantage? They play in arguably the best Division II stadium in black college football, and one of the top, if not the top, Division II football stadium in America, period. Whether it's HBCU or not HBCU. And they have a stadium that puts a lot of our FCS HBCUs to shame. They have the suites for those people who want to rent suites and just be among their family and friends. They have areas where they can socially gather at the stadium. If they have stadium seats, not bleachers with no backs, If you can't bring in your chairbacks to these stadiums, they have seats where if I want to sit in a stadium with a back on it, I can sit in there. Or I can do the old traditional thing and sit on the old-fashioned bleachers. We've got to do more to enhance that experience. And when I say that public-private partnership, for the public portion of it, that's tax money that comes in to your city, either directly from events that happen at the stadium, because some of those stadiums are municipal stadiums, or just from the residuals, the people buying gas, the people buying ice for the coolers, the people stopping at the store because they forgot something, going to the grocery store and buying stuff. We've got to be more creative and be smart about this to enhance the experience so that we generate revenue not only for the universities, but for the local communities also. And we don't have to travel all across America and play in these classic games in these NFL stadiums and be at 20% capacity and play in Tennessee State. If you only go draw 3,000, I'd rather see you play in a high school if you can't go to Hale Stadium than to have 3,000 people in the 65,000 seats.
I wonder if they covered expenses in that game.
I wonder if they actually checked the tickets when you went down to the 50-yard line, and it's like, no, you can't sit down there because you don't have a ticket. You don't have a ticket for this section. It's only 3,000 people down here. I don't think I'm gonna sit in his seat.
Interesting. Jamie, you care to anything you want to add in on that?
I think Drew covered it all. I have no clue, but it was kind of what we were saying earlier about the fan experience, man. There's some considerations that we have to have and conversations we have to have going forward.
All right. Well said. Okay. Let me see where we're at on things. Okay. This week, homecoming games. It's a much shorter list. Only 5 schools on homecoming. Allen University hosting Edward Waters at 2 Eastern. That game is played at Westwood High School in Blythewood, South Carolina. It's the AME Football Classic. You've also got Florida A&M hosting Prairie View, 4 o'clock Eastern. That game is on ESPNU. Much talked about SWAC contest there. Hampton University hosting your Aggies, Jamie. Old MEAC foes.
An opportunity to get this W.
Look, Hampton's lost 3 in a row. Obviously, we understand the troubles that A&T's going through this year. Wow.
I'm gonna ask the same question that I asked Alabama A&M. Why would you play A&T for homecoming? You just cost yourself a gate, Hampton, because A&T was gonna draw anyway.
It's true. It's true.
Well, are you sure? I mean, maybe. Hey, look, Hampton maybe looked at who they played for other homecomings, and those games didn't do well. Didn't North Carolina A&T play somebody last year for homecoming that wasn't a HBCU, and it kind of the attendance wasn't that great?
But I guarantee the attendance for that non-HBCU game was still more than it would have been if that would not have been homecoming, and you still get your homecoming, you still get your HBCU game.
Okay.
You may correct me on that, JB. You're an A&T alum, so you know better than I do.
I mean, it was what, Campbell. We played Campbell last year. It was a great game. It would have drawn anyway, but I think you're right. As far as like playing somebody else that you know, especially another HBCU. So yeah.
Clarence says black colleges don't want to play CAA schools for homecoming. You might be right. You might be onto something. Hampton's last 3 losses have been Delaware,
Monmouth.
Yep.
And I don't know the week before.
I don't know.
Can't remember.
Hold on. I got it pulled up, right? Well, shoot. I kind of had it pulled up. I can tell you here real quick.
It was an HBCU.
No, they beaten the HBCUs, remember?
I thought they lost to one of their HBCUs.
They lost to Norfolk State earlier
Yeah.
in the year.
Yeah,
that was
it.
Back.
Oh, yeah, that was earlier.
Last 3 weeks, they lost to Delaware, who's ranked, I believe, 7th in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Monmouth, who's also ranked, I think. They lost big to them, 61-10. And then the week before that, they lost to Campbell, 30-27. That was the week after Campbell lost in overtime.
Lost to Central.
Yeah. And so, yeah, the 3-1 start that Hampton had, the warm feelings. I mean, somebody I know even voted them #1 in a poll. I mean, hell, I don't know what's happened to Hampton over the last. The pumpkin has really turned back into a pumpkin. I guess that's what's going on there. But anyway, Morehouse hosting homecoming against Kentucky State in Atlanta, Georgia. 2 p.m. Eastern. That's on ESPN Plus.
I'll be on the call for that game.
Oh, you are? Okay.
I am.
But since you can't predict that, JB, that might be the game Morehouse finally gets a dub. I'll put that out there.
Wow, stop it. Yeah, but hey, Morehouse is one of the 4. Hold on. Are they one of the 4? Yes, one of the 4 teams that has not got a win yet. So that opportunity is staring at them. I just want it to be. Because I'm petty and messy like that. I just want the Clark Morehouse game to mean something. And I worry that if somebody wins before that game has no meaning.
And I'm on the call for that one too.
Well, man, if that's the case, we want that
Jamie, who did you make mad in the SIAC office to give you those 2 assignments?
I have no idea. But yep.
Well, it only makes sense. He's in the area. He's not far away. So it's good stuff there. Interesting. Norfolk State hosting Morgan State, 2:00 Eastern, homecoming in William Dick Price Stadium. I gotta check with my family, see who's one of my family. That's an interesting weekend. So you got homecoming for Hampton and homecoming for Norfolk State. Boy, the
Tidewater.
The Tidewater Hampton Roads area is gonna be crunk this weekend. Boy, look, the number of
hotels at a premium.
Oh my God, be safe out there, folks. It's gonna be.
Let me stand in Richmond.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Suffolk.
And both games start at the same time, 2:00. So that'll be interesting in itself.
Okay, that's nuts. No. Let's call that what it is. Oh,
what?
You said they start at the same time.
They do. They start at 2:00 Eastern time. Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be.
But look, hey, they're on 2 different sides of the bay, so it's not like obviously traffic that'll be going one in and out one direction, and you'll probably be crossing, the traffic from the Hampton Roads. People will be going this way, and then the Norfolk people will be going that way.
Yeah, but can you imagine Norfolk Airport on Sunday?
Oh yeah, it'll be a who's who. It'll be, that's where you want to be. It's going to be ridiculously crazy. I wouldn't even try to fly out until Monday, just to keep it real, or just drive up to Richmond, fly out of Richmond. I mean, just to keep it real. Okay. I've got on here our games of the week for this upcoming week, number 9. This is not the official 5, so I'm just going to read through the list, and then we can kind of go through the 5. Oh, I guess I should tell everybody where we're at here in terms of our picks. Jamie, after a 2-week run on the show, Jamie is 9-3 on the year. Jamie, you have performed admirably, well above expectation here. Did
I'm
you
gonna
hear
need Jamie to start mailing his picks in so he can lose some games so I can catch up at the percentage points.
It's
Look, my
definitely the percentage. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if Drew puts together another 5-0 weekend like he just did. I mean, Drew put together back-to-back 5-0. Let's see. Last week he was 5-0. This past week he was 5-0. Picking Edward Waters, Fayetteville State, Southern, Miles, and North Carolina Central. Your boy, me, of course, I am the king of 2-3 and 3-2, and this week I did another 2-3 performance. I was going for the upsets this week, Jamie. Morgan State, close but no cigar. Johnson C. Smith, I was within a touchdown. Bethune, I never really had a shot, but that was a dart throw. I closed my eyes and I just threw something at the wall, hoping I would catch up. My best plays, of course, were Edward Waters and Miles. I was 5-0 though in the FCS, but everybody, if you picked Howard, that was the only game that was up. Other than Timona, everybody else was 5-0 in the picks contest. Timona is the only one that she likes to pick. She likes to go oppo. She's 0-5. She's trying to go, but hey, she's trying to go 0-5. I see that every week. She's trying to go 0-5. So I can't even troll her anymore because I get what she's trying to do. Okay, so Drew improved overall to 20. Good Lord, this about over. You're at 29-12 on the season. Man, I am 20-21. I'm not even 500. I'm below 500. So there we go. All right. So again, here are the games that we have to choose from. The two main feature games in the SIC, I think, this upcoming week of Week 9 are obviously Miles at Albany State, Edward Waters at Allen. Any analysis or any thoughts as you hear, excuse me, about those games and you think about those upcoming games this week?
Man, more than anything, can Miles not start so slow? I think they have the ability against that dirty blue defense of Albany State to really score early. The dual quarterbacks of Klein Peter and Ivory are doing really well for Miles, and it seems to be working for him. But Albany State, can they be more of what they were against Central State, or will they kind of regress to what they were this weekend? So we'll see. We'll see. I think Miles should win that by a touchdown.
If you think about Albany State's schedule, though, they did go 4-0, but you look at the opponents that they went 4-0. They went 4-0 against the bottom 4 of the bottom 5 or 6 teams in the SIC. So for them to kind of stumble the way they did to Allen and then to Edward Waters, you might be surprised, but really, when you really kind of look at it, you shouldn't be. Just a thought there. Edward Waters at Allen. I just think that's an out. I mean, I'm saying first team to 45. I really honestly think first team to get to 45 is the team that has the best chance of winning this ball game. You've got if David Wright wants a shot at the SIC Player of the Year, he's got to go take it from Jyron Russell. That's how I look at this game. You got to go do something better than what Jyron Russell is going to do and has been doing.
And this game is in Blythewood, right?
At Allen, yep.
Ooh, I wonder who's on the call for this. This is gonna be a good one.
Yeah, that'll be a real interesting contest. Interesting contest indeed. Over in the CIAA, you've got, now that Virginia State has lost, it makes the game against Lincoln, PA a little more interesting as they travel to Virginia State, looking to bounce back after the home loss. Over on the Southern Division side, Fayetteville State traveling to Shaw. If Fayetteville State wins that contest, that's it for South. That'll be their sixth, I believe, their sixth division title in the CIAA South. If they lose it, though, it leaves the door open for the Winston-Salem State at Johnson C. Smith game, which is happening as well. All right. Jamie, is that Drew? What do you got going on in the background?
Nothing.
Is that Drew? Where is that coming from?
That must be you. I don't know if any. I don't hear anything.
You don't hear anything?
No, not any extra.
Okay, I don't know where I'm hearing something from, but must be maybe a window that I have open or something. Okay. All right, so that's the CIAA schedule. Is Drew at the airport? No, Drew's not at the airport. Drew's got his thing on mute though, so I don't know. It's coming from somewhere. Who knows? Okay. The MEAC. I think the one main game obviously is South Carolina State at North Carolina Central. That's Thursday night. And then let's see. The SWAC, you've got the Magic City Classic, and then you've got Prairie View at FAMU. FAMU's magic number is 2. If they beat Prairie View A&M and Alabama A&M loses in the Magic City Classic, FAMU wraps up the title. I don't think that's it. Any other thoughts there? Any other game in the SWAC of interest or of note?
Not to me. Not of any note. I think right now they're playing the string. They're kind of just. I guess the Magic City Classic is intriguing in itself because it's a classic, but I think initially it was a game that could decide someone's job, but I think both coaches have done enough to kind of not have that consideration. Because I want you to think about it for a second. Coach Robinson has done, won the Classic last year, beat Jackson State, but there's a lot of questions that come in. Coach Maynor, won a couple of games, has kind of ascended back into, the good graces, I think, of the fan base, at least for a while. So it'll be interesting to see if, depending on who loses this game, does that seat get hotter? But otherwise, the intrigue's not there. It's just a contrast of different styles to me, football-wise, whether the A&M offense can score against this Alabama State defense. A lot of questions there because that defense is definitely formidable.
I'm gonna look at attendance thing again. I'm on that tip today. I'll be curious to see will the Magic City Classic pull close to 60? I think what event was it that drew 52 or 53? I'm trying to recall.
Magic City should draw at least 55, and Magic City should be number 1 up until the Bayou Classic in attendance.
Okay. What's the current leader? What's the current leader? There's somebody that drew 52. There's an event that drew 52. I can't think of it right off the top of my head right now.
Was it the Circle City?
Oh God! that was a dirty.
Why'd you do that?
That was dirty. That was dirty. The Circle City had anyway. I can't.
Tennessee State like attendance. Circle City had Tennessee State.
Yes, I think it had more people than what Tennessee State had this past Saturday, barely by about 500 people. I don't know. I can't think. Anyway. All right. So,
you made me think about I think Jackson State's homecoming was up there. That may be the attendance leader right now. No, it wasn't Jackson State's homecoming. It was a game involving Jackson State, though.
Tuskegee had more for their homecoming, according to the gate receipts.
Yeah, that's got to be according to, because
EA, there it is. Thank you. State Fair Classic.
Okay.
That's what it was. State Fair Classic. 52,000 for Prairie View, 52,000 something. That was Grambling and
Prairie View.
Right now, that's the leader in the clubhouse. 52,000. Okay. We already talked about the independent FCS game of the week. Independent D2 game that you might want to pay attention to is Fairmont State versus West Virginia State, or at West Virginia State. Fairmont State, they are 6-2 in conference play, third in the conference. West Virginia State 4-3 on a bit of a 2-game losing streak. They are fourth. They just lost to one of the top 2 or 3 teams in their conference. So this is like West Virginia State's last chance to kind of get a win, to stay in the hunt for the conference title. Over in the NAIA, Langston. We haven't talked about Langston in a while, but all they're doing is winning games. They've won 5 games in a row. They're 4-1 in conference play. They take on Ottawa University, Arizona for homecoming. So shout out to Coach Farasi and the Langston Lions on homecoming. The last 3 times that this Ottawa University, Arizona, and Langston have played, listen to these totals. The games have been decided by 6, 3, and 4 points. Langston has won the last 2 years. So Langston might be popping up back into people's polls. And I would throw another game in there under NAIA is probably Florida Memorial. I think they're taking on Southeastern. And so that's a big Sun Conference showdown or a matchup. Drew, you kind of brought this up earlier when you talked about Florida Memorial's chances and what that could mean. So, all right. Anything else? Any other meat on the bone before we get into this picks contest, Drew? Anything else, Jamie, that you wanted to hit on, or something I may have left out, or something you wanted to touch on?
Nah. I think we kind of covered. There was a question I know you wanted to ask about the impressive nature of a couple of teams, but I think we kind of touched on that already.
Well, look, you know me. I couldn't help but ask the question, and I'll briefly here's what I'll say. I was going to say I'll throw this out there, and we'll kind of table it a little bit for tomorrow night. So, news flash, breaking news. Drew and I will be on tomorrow night. We're going to release our top, the BCSN top 5 will be released tomorrow night, not tonight, simply because the numbers are still being calculated and Drew's on the road. So, but tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, right back here, we'll kind of do a part 2 of our SportsWrap show and go from there. Edwin, I know you're not talking about me. Come on now, Edwin. I'm not going to be ready. Stop it. I am, but I'm not. Okay. So yes, we'll talk about the top 5, but we'll also talk about this time. I asked, okay, so North Carolina Central played on Thursday, coming off a bye, played Morgan State, a team that was 1-5, 1-win team. And they were down. It was a tie game at halftime. They ended up winning the contest 16-10. Mm-hmm. I specifically wrote this down for this segment. Let's see. They were outgained by Morgan State 285-201. Your number 1 team in the country, mind you. Everybody's favorite defending national champion. 201 total yards is what they amassed. Now, they did benefit off of 2 turnovers by Morgan State. Morgan State threw an interception in the 4th quarter. North Carolina Central turned around and made a touchdown out of it. They had a fumble. Morgan State fumbled the ball. North Carolina Central turned around and turned it into a field goal. Next minute, ball game was over. So obviously, lesson learned is you can't give good teams opportunities, right? But that was them off a bye. Florida A&M off a bye, traveling to Texas Southern as well. Got to make a road trip off a bye, taking on a conference opponent. FAMU favored by 17.5 points. Hey, much like North Carolina Central was favored by 14 points, didn't cover. FAMU favored by 17.5 points, didn't cover. Not even with the late score, mind you. There was a late score by Texas Southern to really make you mad if you had FAMU by 17. If you had it by 17, you were thinking, all right, I might get the push. You lose that too. But it was 17.5. You were just royally screwed all the way around. But if you knew my statistic about Willie Simmons' teams with a spread of 17 or more, you would have stayed away from FAMU in this ball game, or you would have took Texas Southern anyway. But look, the Rattlers are down 14-0, down 14-7 at the half. It is what it is, but FAMU wins. So the question I asked, Jamie, I asked the question, did either North Carolina Central or FAMU impress in their wins, given what they had to go through? Or did they just do enough to survive? And then how do you think the narratives are going to be spun over the next 48 hours as the voters are going to the polls and putting their votes in for first and second place in these various poll rankings that are in HBCU sports media?
The Central win was a little more cautionary for me as far as that team's been impressive for me the entire year. I think they needed this game, and I think they'll learn from it. That coaching staff, just the brain trust in general, they'll be fine. I think, they're good, and you bring up a good point, Clarence. Morgan State's defense is nothing to shake a stick at. Like, they are a true number one defense, and they would be better if their offense can play complementary football. So Central, the turnovers, the things of that nature that kind of, wasn't North Carolina Central football, especially in the last couple of years, kind of showed itself, especially with the way they blew out Morgan State last year. So I thought it would be a little bit of get back. I even mentioned that on Dr. Cavill's show. But FAMU, it was interesting in how slow they started. It may have been jet lag, or it may have been, due to travel. It may have been, due to some other stuff, but they did have a second half impression. Jeremy Musa, I can understand people's critique of him accuracy-wise, but I think he takes total control of the offense in general. And what I was impressed with, forget the offense for a second, the defense was the one that I was impressed with, because I think the offense put you in bad spots, and that's how Texas Southern was able to get the scores early. But I also think this defense of FAMU, General Hunt and others are there. That defensive line is phenomenal. They fly around to the ball and they do their thing. But I think the slow start, wasn't bad. You're on the road. You expect to give up some points maybe early or have some miscues early before you get everything done. But just the synergy between Musa, head coach Willie Simmons, and those offensive play callers and those that are involved really are impressive, because what they did was start to take Texas Southern's defense apart in what they were doing strong early, and in the second half just went and became masterful. So I was impressed with what they were able to do. It's Central's that kind of, even head coach Trey Oliver said we got some work to do. I didn't think we were who we were. They got some work to do, and I think it adds on to some very good coaching points this week. Taking on South Carolina State.
Drew, you want to add anything? Drew, are you there?
Yeah, I want to add some things. You had two teams who were totally out of their normal routine. While both teams were coming off of a bye, how many teams have you actually seen come off of a bye week and play on a Thursday night? That is an oddity, playing on a Thursday night after a bye. So you can't even get in. When do you get into your regular weekly routine? When you have a traditional bye, you play the following Saturday. You may practice Monday through Thursday, give the guys Friday and Saturday off, then come back in on Sunday, do your film study, et cetera, and get back into your regular routine. But you actually played on a Thursday. So what? Maybe that not being in that weekly routine, playing on that Thursday may have affected you. And then they've got another Thursday night game this week. When have you ever seen a team play consecutive Thursday night games in the same season? I can't think of it. That's Central's defense. FAMU's defense. That game started at 7 o'clock Central Time. That is 8 o'clock on the East Coast. One of the reasons may be their body clocks were off. When I said jet lag, I was kind of serious about that. That's 8 o'clock. They're normally at halftime. So they had not really had a chance to warm up in that first half. And it took them until 9:30, 10 o'clock, unfortunately, on their body clocks to finally wake up and get going, because their normal adrenaline, their normal routine is totally out of whack when you're used to playing at 6 o'clock at home. And most of your road games that you have played on the road have been 4 o'clock games. So I think that had a lot to do with the slow starts that both these teams had on this past week. Just being out of any type of normal road routine.
That's fair. That's fair.
That is fair. I didn't think about that. All right. I was just kind of checking out the chat room here. Interesting. Clarence killing us in here.
Yeah, I know.
Asking who's a good FCS team that FAMU has played. And look, Jackson State, Alabama State, Southern. And Prairie View this weekend. I don't know.
Hey, Brian, in Clarence's defense, are we going to be discounting that Jackson State victory now as we get further into the season?
I'm not. I'm gonna keep, because I don't want to discount that. I'm gonna continue to sing the praises of Jackson State. No matter how much ridiculousness it fires back at me, but because I want that to be a good win. I want that to be a good win. Just like Jackson State they wanted us to be a good win after they beat us, and then we went on a winning streak. Unfortunately, y'all lost to Alabama State. But anyway, let's go to our. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. Okay, here we go. I got the 5 for us. Our picks contest brought to you by nobody, but somebody could sponsor it if they wanted to. Okay, so I'm gonna choose these 5 games, and this is what we're gonna go with. Edward Waters at Allen. That's gonna be the first game up. I figure that's a game that's about a 50-50 odds of winning. I haven't looked it up or anything like that, but let's go. Edward Waters at Allen. Who you got, Jamie?
Ooh. I'm gonna go Edward Waters.
On the road, going with the Cats. The Cats over the Yellow Jackets. All right, who you got, Drew?
Which game was that again? I lost.
Edward Waters at Allen.
Whew. I've got to go with the hot team right now, Brian. Edward Waters is hot. I know it's homecoming for Allen, but I've got to stay with the hot team. They have beaten two of the Blue Bloods in the SIAC, so why not go and beat the new up and comers?
All right, so we're gonna make it a clean sweep. I'm going with Edward Waters too. I've seen enough to know real, and but I do stand by what I said. First team to 45 points. I can't wait to find an over or see what the line is for this game. I'm hoping it's in the 60s because I'm gonna pound the heck out of the over if I see anything in the 60s. Okay, next game, Magic City Classic, Alabama State versus Alabama A&M. Jamie, who you got?
Ooh, you know what? I'm gonna go defense in this game. I'm gonna pick Alabama State.
All right, they got the better defense. Okay, Drew, who you got?
I'm picking Alabama State for selfish reasons. I am not counting on FAMU to win this thing straight up. I want to take it out of FAMU's hands, take it out of Willie's hands. No offense to anybody at Orange or Green, but you know, our magic number is 2. So we don't need to win. We don't need to win that game. If Alabama A&M loses, we don't need to win. No, our magic number is it's
2.
It's 2. Our magic number is 2. Let's let Alabama A&M lose, so now we don't have to worry about it. And then if we win, cool. If not, we still got another opportunity to get it. But I want to take as much of it out of our hands and let everybody else beat up on each other. Alabama State.
All right, I don't know why you want to do all that, but I'm celebrating after the homecoming win because I plan on looking at my score at the phone or the watch and see Alabama State winning probably by some ridiculous score of like 21-20, you know, something like that. It'll be something like that where Alabama A&M will have a lead, and then Bama State will have to score a touchdown late. But anyway, that'll be the game. South Carolina State at North Carolina Central. That's a game being played on Thursday. Coach Buddy Pugh tour travels into Raleigh. Raleigh is where North Carolina Central is.
Durham, Bull City.
All right, Durham. All right, what do we got, Jamie?
Oh man, much as I hate doing this, I'm gonna pick them birds.
Look at you.
Yeah, I think Central be a little too much, and I think this week of practice they probably are spirited after facing Morgan State and not feeling like they played up to their potential. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Central.
Drew, who you got? South Carolina State at Central, North Carolina Central.
Road game, short week equals home advantage. Better team at home. It got to go with Central.
Yeah, I forgot about the short week thing. God dog it. I had South Carolina State picked. That's really? In my heart. That's in my heart, but I'm not gonna put that on wax though. That short week, yeah. And Central, North Carolina Central, they played last Thursday, so they got a full week. They got a full week of preparation and everything else that they've done. Okay, in the CIAA, I've got Winston-Salem State at Johnson C. Smith. Both teams are 4-2, so somebody's going to finish in second place, or hey, who knows if Fayetteville State stumbles at Shaw, then it does open the door for the winner of this game, and especially if it's Winston-Salem State. So, Jamie, who you got?
I'm gonna go with Johnson C. Smith. Coming off that loss to Fayetteville State, I think they're still hungry. I believe in Coach Flowers. I think they'll get the win.
Drew, who do you got? Winston-Salem at Johnson C.
I have no. You said Winston-Salem at Johnson C?
Correct.
I have no faith in in Winston-Salem right now. You know, they've been inconsistent all year. Games they should have won, they've lost. Games that they lost, they weren't. Games that they won, they weren't supposed to. Johnson C, on the other hand, is a year ahead of schedule, probably for most of us. I've got to lean on Coach Flowers and Johnson C. Smith. Now, Jamie, I think you and I have been concurring on all 4 picks thus far. So either we gonna be very good or we gonna be crying together, bro.
We finna see.
I'm going to echo it, and then we're all going to be on the same page, which means some of these losses, they're going to be losses. Because if we're all picking the same, then somebody's going to lose. So anyway, I'm taking Johnson C. Smith, and pretty much, Drew, you stole my same thought process. I don't trust Winston-Salem State. Don't trust them. Can't do it. Like Mike Singletary said, can't do it. Won't do it. Can't do it. Sorry. All right. Now, I know, Jamie, you know, this is kind of a little biased, but you are an honest and you are a non-biased person, and you see things the way they are. So I'm just going to put on here North Carolina A&T at Hampton, you know.
You would.
Yeah. Well, you know, I could put Prairie View at FAMU. So if you want to choose that game, I understand it. And then I know Drew and I are not going to pick the FAMU Prairie View because you know what it is. So I'll let you choose the FAMU Prairie View game, and Drew and I will choose the A&T at Hampton game. How about that?
Okay, that'll work. That'll work.
There we go. So there you go, Jamie. You got it. Prairie View at FAMU for homecoming. What do you got?
Man, wow. I don't know if Trayvon Connolly and that offense of Prairie View can generate enough offense to compete with FAMU. But I know defensively they are still there, even though that game against Houston Christian wasn't their finest hour. So I'm gonna go with FAMU only because it's homecoming and they are playing at home. I don't know if it's gonna be by 40, but I will say by 10.
Oh, not by 40 though, but you
not by 40.
There you go, FAMU by 10. All right, there you go. Drew, you and I've got the Prairie View. I got the A&T Hampton game.
I do want to make one prediction on the Prairie View homecoming. 25,048. That's the attendance.
That's a
I'm gonna make that attendance.
That's a fire violation.
Come on,
that's a violation. That stadium doesn't even hold it anymore. That stadium holds 22, maybe
21.
21. Like it. No, it doesn't hold 25 anymore, unless they bring in some bleachers. Which I don't think they have and are.
Brian, they'll figure out how to get extra people in those suites. They'll figure something out. You and I both know that. Anyway, and then we don't forget about the people just walking around under the bleachers at Brad. Anyway.
Okay.
What's that?
No, go ahead. You're
right. Norfolk A&T. A&T has been the biggest disappointment this year among our HBCUs. But at the same time, you got a Hampton who has been the HBCU killers. Here's the caveat to that. That has been HBCUs outside of their conference. I see A&T going into the Rose area, the Hampton Rose area, and upsetting Hampton at home on homecoming. One of those 5. So that's going to be proportionally, I think we're going to get around that same 30-40%. I need this one to go in A&T's favor. So proportionally, we have the same amount of upsets for homecoming this week as we have had in the past 2 weeks.
Well, thankfully, this will be the game that I get a chance to gain on you, Drew, because I'm taking Hampton. Hampton, the HBCU killers that they are, will return to form as they get another HBCU to slaughter. for homecoming. Just got to defend the guy who's returning kicks. Just don't kick to him. Memo to Hampton, kicker and special teams. Don't kick to what's his name? Conley is his name.
Tamon Cook.
Cook. Don't let him cook. Don't kick to him. Kick it to the other guy, or help kick it out of the end zone, or kick it out of bounds. Whatever. Anything's better than giving a guy who might
Squib
be
kick.
the country. Yeah, squib kick it. The guy might be leading the country in kickoff returns. Hold on, I got it pulled. I got the NCAA thing pulled up. I can look real quick and see. Is he leading the nation in kickoff returns? Is that a team or individual stats?
That'd be individual.
That'd be individual stat. All right, here we go. Kickoff return touchdowns. And yes, he is. With a total of 3, Tamon Cook leads the nation in kickoff return touchdowns. So what do you do?
Have they updated the stats from yesterday, Brian, on there?
It is updated, yes, through Sunday.
Okay.
Updated as of 4:45 this morning. So, hey, memo to Hampton. Kick the other way. Not that way, or that way. No, not that way. That way. Kick it that way. Yeah. Okay, there we go. All right. That's going to do it for our picks contest. Obviously, we'll update them next Sunday. Okay. Just again, a reminder that BCSN Top 5 will be released tomorrow. You can tune in, not Jamie, but Drew and I. We will come on. We'll do a short show. We'll do a short show. Short for us. Who knows what that could look like? But we will do a much shorter show, and we will just talk about the top 5. Maybe we'll kind of listen to some press conferences from the coaches. If anything interesting comes out of it, maybe we'll talk about it. If not, hopefully it'll just be a short show where we release the top 5. Jamie, anything you want to add as we exit? Let people know where they can find you.
Oh man, we can find me. This weekend I'll be calling the Kentucky State Morehouse game on the 4-letter. But I encourage every one of you all to tune in to BCSN for the games. I don't know which 2 they have, but let me see. Edward Waters. Do you have the Edward Waters game this week?
No, we don't. In terms of who is home, let me see. I should know this. I got to find my SIAC schedule because that's really what
Tuskegee Clark, is that one of our games? Tuskegee Clark plays this week.
Yes, as long as that game is not being broadcast on ESPN Plus, we should have the Tuskegee game.
I will be on there. I'll be on there, but you can find me on Twitter or Instagram at SportVoiceJW. SportVoiceJW.
We'll probably have Bennett. We'll be in Savannah State, so we'll have the Benedict at Savannah State game. Again, Tuskegee. I don't see. We should have the Tuskegee game. Clark traveling to Tuskegee, and shame that game won't actually be the won't be the return of Willie Slater. Clark fired Willie Slater before he had a chance to come back to Tuskegee. Man, was looking forward to that, but maybe that's for the better. And then outside of that, as I said, Edward Waters traveling to Allen. So unless I know you can listen to that one probably on Edward Waters YouTube. Joshua Jackson will probably be running the audio broadcast of that. There is a video feed link. Who's doing that game? Oh well, somebody's doing that game, so it will be live streamed. So you can watch it if you go to Allen University's site. Somebody's live streaming it, so not us though. But I'll tell you to go check out Edward Waters Athletics and go listen to Joshua Jackson. He does a good job. Great call. All right. That's going to do it. Drew logged out. All right. So good enough. Jamie, let's get up out of here. Again, make sure to follow Jamie. Let Jamie know you appreciate him hanging in there for this long show, or normally extended long time. But we appreciate all you guys in the chats for checking in. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button on your way out the door if you haven't already. Well, Jeremiah, there were some reasons. I needed to take care of some business. It's hard to get business done when you're in the middle of the show. So I just needed to know. But I took care of it. It's all good. The game actually doesn't start until 8:25. So there was a little time window there that I was able to take care of. So there we go. All right. Well, hey, good luck to you guys watching. Congratulations to your team. If they won or lost, if they lost, you can be mad. As the song goes, be mad as a mouse, right? But guess what? Guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna be mad. My team won. Hey, make sure to follow and watch the Black College Sports Network this week. Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab Tuesday and Thursday night. The ONG Strike Zone on Wednesday night. Carlos Brown should be back on Saturday as well. And don't forget, tomorrow night, Drew and I, special Monday night edition of the Sports Wrap. Go download the BCSN Pod Zone everywhere you download, listen to podcasts. Appreciate Jamie Walker. Always appreciate him. And God bless. Good luck to your teams out there. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We are out of here. Peace out, everybody.
But earmuff, you stay on hard.